Yay! All right. Thank God. All right.
We had some technical difficulties, guys.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Is it morning anywhere? I don't think it's morning anywhere.
It's morning in Hawaii.
It's morning in Hawaii. Good morning, Hawaii.
Morning in Hawaii.
Right?
You guys, we had a little bit of a trouble going live. It just kept saying going live, going live.
It's actually morning
live.
in Australia too.
And it is morning in
Sorry.
Australia.
Sorry. It's been a long day today, guys.
It's only 3 o'clock and I feel like life is going crazy. All right. I'm gonna handle comments over here because Will gets a little distracted when he's looking at the comments.
I do have massive ADHD.
They're right here, right? Can you guys hear us?
Yes, they can hear us.
Can you hear
Hopefully,
us?
can you hear us?
Someone give us a thumbs
up. How do I know these things? All right.
Someone give us a thumbs up and let us know that you can hear us.
All right.
We have so many things to chat about because we have not gone live in forever. We're not getting a thumbs up. Maybe no one can hear us.
No, there's thumbs up.
Yeah, they can hear us.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
awesome. Good. All right, so we haven't gone live in so long here. When was the last time we went live here?
Like 6 months ago, if not longer. It's been a long time since we gone live, and we like to go live. Listen, we just did a live yesterday on Instagram, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun. I had a terrible week, and I almost canceled it because I was in a bad mood, and I just felt like I just didn't have very good energy. And I went on it, and after I felt it was so nice. Everyone was so kind and so fun, and it was just amazing. First of all, guys, before we get started, is the wind bothering so much that it's hard to hear us, or are we okay? Wind's okay.
Rock Florida said much better video quality. Yeah. So
yeah, thank you.
At the end I went back and scrolled through our Instagram one from yesterday.
Oh my God.
And the quality got really bad. So the Instagram one, Elizabeth said she missed the Instagram one. So it's uploaded on Instagram, and it's really fun, guys. If you didn't see it, we'll talk about a lot of the same things. But this is a different audience, so you guys will have different questions and whatnot. But it's really fun because the kids, it was Friday night here. And even though we have the life that we have, and excuse me, I'm a little congested, and we live on a boat in the middle of nowhere, they both had like Friday night activities going on. And Avalon's in university now, and she had a dance last night, and her girlfriends could not go with her to help her pick out a dress. And so we were the people, but we were on the live on Instagram. She's like, can you just give me an opinion? So she kept popping into Instagram in different dresses, showing all of us what she was wearing. It was really fun. Everyone got to vote. She went with a red dress. If you were on there, I put the dress on Instagram and our stories. I don't know if it's the one
she had a fabulous time.
She had a fabulous time. Yeah.
Fabulous.
She slept through her alarm this morning. She's like doing some audition for some play today. And she just had such a great time. She said she danced and sang and all that kind of stuff. She has nothing appropriate for any business, school, anything like that, because all she has is like boat stuff. So like thin little white cotton dresses that just don't work for snowy Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So anyway, go watch it if you want to see, how Avalon's doing. And then Largo was hanging out with his D&D club, teaching a group of kids about D&D last night, and he was on that. So Will and I were flying solo, but we were kind of tipping in and out. Largo was poking his head in.
With the Starlink. A lot of going on. And so today's a totally different day. The light is much better, and we're here. And by the way, hello everyone. It's so good to see you guys. So we are today in San Blas Islands over in Panama, and I have to say, if you can see behind us, this is not a green screen. This is real.
This is our life. No, look right there. Look at that. Will and I were having a meeting out here this morning, and I could not focus because I kept looking at that, just saying, my goodness, this is so beautiful. This is the most beautiful place we've been on the boat thus far, which is amazing. And for those of you who don't know where the San Blas Islands are, I don't know how many islands are there. Are you?
It's a group of like 360 different islands off of the coast of Panama. So
on the Caribbean side.
On the Caribbean side. And I mean, to be honest with you, they're all, some of them are within 500 meters of the mainland, and some are where we are now, which is more like 5-6 miles off the mainland.
And there's nothing here.
And there's a zero here. And where we are right now, you can count behind us. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 islands in this little sort of cove we're at right now. And it's creating this perfect anchorage because right now it's
a lot of wind.
There's 28 knot
gusts. Eric said the picture quality is really, really bad, unfortunately.
Really? Well, it's a little bright.
We look good.
Oh, stop it. But we have right
Look
now.
Look at ourselves. We look okay.
We
is
were
it
really
really
concerned,
bad, guys? Sorry.
We were really concerned about the weather today because we thought it was going to be really windy, but it's perfect. We're barely moving, and it's 30 knot gusts.
I mean, it's still pretty gusty. Just to wrap up where we are, there's no shops or stores or coffee or anything like that here. You have to provision and come provisioned. But there's a local indigenous community called the Kuna, and they're really fabulous. They come up to the boat and sell us fish and octopus and crabs and molas. If you've been watching on Instagram, I love the molas. So I bought like 110 of them, not maybe that many, but a lot. And that's pretty much all that's going on here. There's nothing else. And it's really, really amazing. So Will, say it's pixelated.
Well, that's the issue with Starlink. So by the way, we are broadcasting via Starlink. There is
Can you fix that?
There is no cell service here. And the way the Starlink works is it's a constellation of satellites. And if one is not passing over you at the moment, then you get a slower service.
How many fingers am I holding up?
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
I almost put up my middle finger. I was doing it, but I'm like, oh.
And so it'll get like that.
3.
Like during moments. So I do apologize in advance, but it's the price you pay to sort of be in paradise, is that sometimes you have to be a little pixelated. Otherwise, we'd never be able to do it. I mean, cell signals just do not reach out here.
Well, since we kind of do like a little list to kind of update you guys on things that are going on. I don't know, if no one asks questions and we kind of forget to talk. But one of the things we had on the list was Will talking about Starlink. Is there anything else you want to talk about with Starlink?
Well, this is a thing that we haven't talked about.
Well, tell people what Starlink is first. Well, maybe not everyone knows what it is.
Let me back up a second. Starlink is internet via satellite dish, and it's really cool. But there's a lot of things that you guys have not been caught up with, because unfortunately we're really behind. That's
right, because we're really behind.
We're super behind on blogs, and I do apologize. But all that being said, we do have Starlink on board now. It is nice. We have a lot more solar on board now. That too is nice. We haven't had to run the generator.
Oh, my glasses are really crooked.
In a few days, and we're right now sort of inverter on, topping off everything. The water maker's on, topping off everything. All up for solar, which is amazing, and we're running Starlink as well. All that being said, Starlink is Elon Musk's ability to give everyone
one of his babies
internet around the planet, and it is helping us out immensely as cruisers. And you see around here so many boats now with Starlink around here, and it's before it was you just were here in silence, and now we're not.
Yeah.
Which is a good and a bad thing.
I'm going to go through some of the comments and stuff. I'm going to start from the bottom up. Starlink must be a game changer. Starlink is beyond a game changer for us, because
now we're here.
And Largo goes to school, and him and his sister Zoom call, and he Zoom calls with friends, and we do stuff like this as well, and upload videos and meet with clients. And we could not be in the San Blas Islands without it. No. Period. We would have just had to do like a long weekend, maybe
4 days, and sort of just go off grid, and that would be cool. But there's no way that we would do what we're doing now.
And we're going to be here for what, 2 to 3 weeks?
Around there. And we're, it is what it is. How can you say no to working from here, totally off grid, solar producing everything?
It's amazing.
It really is amazing.
We've been looking forward to this. We bought the boat 2.5 years ago, and we haven't been super off grid. One is a lot of circumstances in our life, and launching a kid to university and all kinds of stuff that go along with that. There's been some medical things. There's been some no Starlink, and we still need to work. There's been repairs and upgrades and all that stuff. Will was saying the other day, he says he finally feels like we're sailing and we're sailors. Even though we crossed an ocean, we're finally starting to actually feel like this is the life we envisioned on the boat, which is so crazy 2.5 years later. Because I know some people just get the boat and go, but we got the boat and then we're locked down for 5 months through COVID. And so there was a series of a lot of just shitty things that happened. And we finally
had
got
good
to
moments.
This point.
Let's not like,
no, it's not all awful. I'm not saying it's all awful,
but there's always been something around the corner where we've been like, oh, we can't, we got to keep rushing. We got to keep moving.
Yeah.
And this is one of the first times we're just here.
So Isabel says, welcome to my country, Panama. Thank you. We're so happy to be here. We've been in the San Blas. Then we went to a marina, and then we went to Panama City for a couple of days to get Avalon, which you guys haven't seen this vlog because we're behind, but Avalon came to visit for a month for the holidays, and we had to take her back. She flew out. We applied for a visa, which for another country, which we'll talk about in a minute when we talk about our future plans. We went by the Panama Canal, which is another thing we're going to talk about in our taxi. And it was so exciting. Panama was so exciting. I must be honest. We were in Panama City for a couple of days, and we did nothing but work. doctors and a couple other logistical things, because sometimes that happens. But I'm really excited because there will be a point where we're closer to Panama City, where we get to see more of that area, and just being here in Panama in general. I mean, obviously where we are is Panama too, so it's really magical. We're loving it.
It was the strangest thing being in Panama City, because we stayed in a hotel, and that was the first time I wore socks. And besides being on an airplane, it was the first time I wore socks in a long time.
I know, I got rid of most of my socks that were getting really old. I only have 2 pair now. Okay, so hey John, I'm going from the bottom up. How are you in Canada? What flag are you flying behind you? We have the we're UK flagged boats. And let's see. Hi from just outside Paris. I've been following you since you arrived in France from Japan right after the COVID lockdowns. Paris. Thank you for following us. Will and I were just having a conversation the other day. He said, if we had to live a stationary life, and it had to be in a big city, what would it be? And I said it would be a tough call between Paris and New York. I love them both so much, and they're so completely different.
I just couldn't do it.
Will would not come with me.
I could. I'm sorry.
Hi from Morocco. I'm just kind of scrolling up, going backwards up. Greetings from Cape Town. When are you coming back to Sweden? Oh, Sweden. Oh, I love Sweden. And it's funny because Avalon works, and she's been saving her money from her business because her goal is to buy a cabin or a house or something in Sweden or Norway in a really remote area. And so
there's an Instagram page.
There is.
What's it called? It's called Tiny Houses or
Cheap Houses in Scandinavia or something like that.
And we look at that, like, look at that, $30,000 for that.
Often I'll forward it to Avalon. I mean, they're pretty remote, right? I'll forward it to Avalon. She goes, oh, that looks like a good one. So I suspect Avalon will be buying a house the next couple of years in that area, and we'll be going to visit a lot because I really, we loved it there. Absolutely loved it. Okay. Hi, Stephanie. Oh my gosh, you guys, there's so many people on here that are been on our group trips, which is really sweet. Thank you so much. Hi, Scholar. Hi, Leanne. Leanne's with her. Hi. Still in Paris and eating all the cheese. Do not eat all the cheese. Do not. We're dying. I'm like, Cracker Barrel is like my hit cheese right now. I can't find anything good. I'm going crazy. And when we come out here, the San Blas, because we came through the San Blas when we left Colombia to get to the marina to get to Panama City. We were in here for 10 to 14 days, would you say? Yeah. And we provisioned up because there's no food here. I mean, the local community does come by and sell you things from time to time, but they're not selling like a jar of salsa,
That'd be so nice.
That would be so nice. I didn't buy it. Clearly, I didn't buy enough salsa because I realized today we're already out. But you really have to provision up here. So I didn't provision enough cheese because that takes a lot of space in the fridge, and we need to keep it for other things. So we're running low already. Yep. And every now and then I'll see Largo, like he's got the cheese. What's that thing called? The cheese,
like the cheese peeler. You know what it is?
Yeah, like it looks like a potato peeler. I'm sure it has a formal name. But Largo's sitting at the table like Prince Largo, eating the cheese, and I'm like, don't eat all the cheese. That is going to be a problem if you eat all the cheese.
So you can't get stuff like that. So we have to be well stocked up, and we have, we're gonna starve here. That's for sure. But
no, I still have provisions from before we crossed the ocean. For some reason, I thought we were not crossing an ocean, but we were circumnavigating the world and never stopping. I got so much food. We have grains and whatever to last us a lifetime. Rock Florida says, how do you keep your skin looking so good in all that sun? I think it's the camera, guys.
We don't we're not in the sun that much.
Well, I mean, we do work, so we're not in the sun every single day.
But honestly, we're not in the sun that much. I mean, where we're at right now is we're underneath the Bimini, and we're either inside or underneath the Bimini.
And we wear
sunscreen.
We wear sunscreen. We wear hats, but we're not in the sun 24/7 because we are working. We do spend a lot of time inside at the computers or out here under the Bimini. And to be honest,
we have our moments where we're out there, but we're just like, okay.
And also, I spent the first 17 years of my life never seeing the sun, so my skin.
Yeah, a lot of catching up to do.
The skin never saw sun for 17 years growing up in rural Maine. And it doesn't matter if it was rural or not, but it was cold and sun came out like once a year for a week in August. And I mean, you grew up in Miami. You had, I guess, your fair share of sun, but
we moisturize.
Yeah, we do all. I mean, we're not obsessive or anything like that.
We take care of our skin.
We do try. Why are we talking about our skin?
I don't know. You brought the question.
No, Rock Florida brought it up. But thank you. That's really, really sweet. We do wear sun guards and all that kind of stuff when we go out, and hats and all that stuff. And I think it does help, but I also think the fact that we really got to like our mid 40s before we even started having any remote sun exposure makes a huge difference. I think it's a
Well, speak for
prolonged
yourself.
exposure from a young age.
I grew up in Florida.
You did, but then you worked in an office for like
Yeah,
20
I
something
guess.
years. You know, he never saw the daylight. He never even saw the sun during the day because he was in the office all the time. Hello from Ireland. You're so lucky and great to see you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Captain Heimer. Does that mean you have a Heimer camping car? That's called Heimer, right? Heimer? No.
Yeah, Heimer.
Yeah, we love those. We were always seeing those when we were.
We're like,
RVing
we like our Burstner, but a Heimer, that'd be nice.
A Heimer is nice, especially those vintage Heimers. They're really cool. If you don't know what a Heimer is, guys, it's a RV camping car. We see a lot of them in Europe, and they seem to they've got some character, and they hold clearly like Will and I are doing with this beautiful
exactly.
Skin. Thank you,
Mercy.
Thank you, Rock Florida.
This portion of the live has been brought to you by Bath and Body Works.
From Ireland here also. It must be so cold in Ireland right now. I was freezing there. We were there, August? Loved Ireland. Loved it.
Yeah, but don't want to drive that with an RV.
Oh my gosh, driving with an RV was crazy. So I'm going to take us to a sad moment for a minute because Ireland made me think of this. It's not your fault, Ireland. We just had to cancel our Peru group trip, which was full with amazing people and filled like that, hiking through the Andes Mountains to Machu Picchu and some days in Cusco because there's civil unrest there, and they indefinitely closed Machu Picchu and extended the state of emergency
within Peru.
Yeah, for some time. So the one of our guests on the group trip is looking to go during that time to Ireland in place of it, and it's the beginning of March when she's going. And I said, make sure you dress warm because it's still going to be cold then. But I did totally plug it because I was like, you know what, Ireland was awesome. I mean, it's very rare I meet a place I don't like. I don't even think I have a place I don't like. Like some places just feel more at home. And I think the longer we're in a place and the more connected we are to the community, the local, the food, the more I feel at home. You know, when we're just passing through, we just feel like kind of tourists. So.
That was in the first year, essentially, year and a half of us being in the RV, and you refused to drive. Period.
I did. That was so stupid.
Well, no. Because driving in Ireland in that wild Atlantic way is like the worst thing that you ever want to do.
And I didn't want to drive because it was the first time in my life I could actually work in a moving vehicle. So he would drive and I would work on the computer, and then I'd ask him questions and things that we needed to do with our business. So I was so excited that I could work and move that I didn't want to drive. I was a little nervous, but I did start driving, but I never would have drove in Ireland.
Right. But
there's no way.
I'm happier here on the boat. That's for sure.
I still don't drive.
I said you don't drive the boat either. So.
But we did, for the first time ever, I was dealing with the anchor from back here in the cockpit, which I'm usually up front, or the kids do it and I'm videoing.
You are doing that.
And I do feel like I'm making ground. It's not that I was scared of it or anything, guys. It's that everyone else was so passionate about doing it. And I knew Avalon's time on the boat was limited. So I'm like, I'm going to be on the boat for a while. Like, I'm not going to take away anyone's fun. And then I got kind of used to it. I got kind of used to videoing everyone and like waving to the people coming into the anchorage. You know,
so we have our roles on the boat, and your role is yet to take on the navigation.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
I have other roles.
You have other roles.
Anna says you guys look like you're in your 20s. Oh my God, thank you. I'm gonna make up next week. I'm gonna be like, we look like we're in 20s. I look like
we're gonna do it live every week.
All right. Do you want to chat about where we're going? You guys, if you guys have questions, pop them in there. You can ask us anything.
So where are we going to next? It is.
Tell us where we're going, Will.
We're going.
He made fun of me for saying that on the Instagram yesterday because it sounds like a talk show or a game show. So I'm like, I'm going to do it again just to annoy him.
All right. So basically it is, let's talk about why we went to Panama, why we went to the city to go take care of something. So we had to go to the French.
Take care of something.
We had to take care of something. We had to take care of going to the French embassy. And as
why
much as,
did we have to go to the French embassy?
Listen,
Let's make this a game.
This is a storied story for us because the French embassy and us are very good companions. We've gone to the French embassy quite a bit over the last
more than
years.
any other embassy in all of our lives.
That's true. And
all of our lives.
But this is different because as you guys
Skyla, or I don't know if it's Leanne, says French embassy equals DMV. Yeah, for those of you who are Americans who've gone to the DMV, it totally equals DMV, and it equals that. I'm sorry, I cut you off. It equals that the movie where the sloth was moving super slow.
Oh my God! Well, don't say that.
The French, no. The French have a lot of bureaucracy that moves very, very slow. Although our experience at Panama City was wonderful, and she was fabulous.
Yes.
So totally different.
And she actually saved our lives. So
she did.
Not like that, but either way. So we have a very rich history with France. We have French visas, and we're proud to sort of call France our second / third, whatever home.
First home is wherever we are in the world.
Right. A second home, third home, however you want to call it. But essentially, we went there to apply for another visa, and it was not for France. It was to apply for a visa for French Polynesia. And so where we're heading to next, next,
we get 90 days as Americans in French Polynesia.
Right. As tourists, you get 90 days ordinarily. And after 90 days, you have to leave. Come hell or high water, come weather or no weather, you have to go.
But it's not like in Europe where you're just like, well, I'll just hop over the border to this country or take a quick flight here. Like there's we got to go far.
You got to be gone, and gone from French Polynesia from one end to the other is essentially, weeks of travel. It could be a little over a week at least.
And we want to stay longer than.
And we want to stay longer. So what we did was we applied for a true French Polynesia visa. And what that gives us the opportunity to is once we arrive there, then we can apply for an extension for a year. And that's really important for us because there's hundreds of islands and there's hundreds of nautical miles that French Polynesia occupies. And we want to be able to see as much of it as possible. And we don't want to be rushed through it in 3 months. Yeah. So the idea would be once you arrive in French Polynesia, within a week or so, then you go to the local prefecture, which is like the
DMV.
Like the DMV, so to speak.
And those of you who are not Americans, the DMV is the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Right.
So it's registering your car, getting a new license.
It's the local immigration office, so forth and so on. And then from there, we can apply for the 1-year visa. And you cannot do that unless you've applied for the proper visa in advance. So, yeah, that's what we did. We spent 4 days going out there and taking care of that, and it was no fun.
Sky Leah said it's hell. They've dealt with the French system in France with this. Yeah, it is a pain. The Panama one was seamless, and I know the person who was helping us is probably not watching. She was so lovely and understanding.
You really saved my ass.
Because someone really screwed up big time. and when you have an appointment with the embassy, if you miss it
or you screw it up, then you almost feel like, oh my gosh, now I got to reschedule another one that's like 5 months away.
And they don't say come back in 10 minutes.
Well, we got lucky. So what I did was
screwed up several times. She kept letting us come back
several times, and I'm not going to get into detail, but essentially, we had to wind up leaving the embassy. I had to get to a copy spot, an internet cafe, re-download everything, reprint everything on a computer that was not working, which was mine.
It's like a computer from the 1920s.
And I couldn't, and I got locked out of my account for the French visa issue. So it was almost like this is gonna work or it's not gonna work. And I was like, my computer's not working because I had to print something out.
It had problems with its computer.
And so Jessica grabbed my computer and basically almost like slammed it.
I went like this.
And I
opened it and it started.
And it magically turned on as if the clouds were parting. And the French gods were saying, "Bienvenue,
welcome."
And so, at the end of the day, before we left Panama City and went back to our
just
boat,
so you know, the embassy, we went back twice, and she fit us in.
She fit us in twice.
I think she saw because she
saw that my life was passing through my eyes.
We were over $100 cab ride each way from there to our boat, and the bus did run, but it didn't run at that hour. And if you saw Instagram, when we finally got in the cab to get back, the cab broke down. So it was a nightmare. The whole thing was a nightmare, but we got our application submitted, and that's the hard part. Getting them approved is not the hard part. It's just getting them submitted, and then you go from there. And we've heard it's a pretty seamless process. So.
Right. So we're looking forward to that, and I think we're going to get our visas back in a month. The way it goes is that you submit for it. You can either leave your passport with them, or you can make a copy of every single page, and that's
what we did.
So that's what we did.
Because we didn't have that, so we had to go to a copy. And we already had a stack of papers we needed to deliver, but we needed a copy of every page in our passport, and we have a pretty full passport. So
long story short, our visas are being processed as we speak, and we're really excited about that because we're going to pass the Panama Canal.
Yes.
And then we are going.
We need to set a date today. We had like a 4-hour business/life/admin meeting this
which
morning.
turned into another meeting about something else.
The meaning of life.
And so 4 hours later, we're just like, we haven't gotten to half the things we want to talk about.
But we do have to put a date on that. So it looks like we'll probably cross the Panama Canal in about 4 to 6 weeks.
Which we have to schedule that.
And that's something you want to talk about that, the process. You have to schedule it.
Well, first of all, we have to, so.
It's a big deal.
If you guys haven't seen other Panama Canal crossings, it's really cool. You go through the locks and you sort of going uphill on all the locks. And then you have line handlers that you're throwing lines to, and they're sort of guiding you along, and you tie up to other boats.
Kind of like being in the circus.
It's kind of like being, you know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like being, honestly, if you ever walked around a big city and you see like school, like kindergarten schools are going out there and they're all sort of, all the kids are tied up to each other. And they're all like being walked around, and they may even have like a little like safety jacket on, like with a different color. And they're all just going, okay, here we go. That's how it is for like sailboats going across the Panama Canal. You have 3 boats or 2 boats tied up next to each other, and then they're tying lines to the line handlers on the other side when you're in the locks, and then you're just like piddling around. And it's
we have friends.
You have no responsibility except for just to make sure.
Making sure you don't hit other boats and die. But other than that,
no. But yeah, it
gonna
be a lot
of fun. It looks from the videos and stuff we've seen like it's pretty calm, like almost like a lake with a little bit of wave. And we have friends that just went through it. I think they're through at this point, and they were posting on Instagram, and it just looks so cool. The Panama Canal transit is expensive, as I understand. Yeah. They measure your boat, and it's about $2,000.
It's about $2,000 and change ish from there. And
yeah, it's expensive.
Our boat it's 38 feet. However, if you count, because I measure it, so the 38 feet is the boat, and if you count like the davits in the back and where the dinghy is, she turns into like a 42-foot boat around there.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what that's going to cost, but we'll find out, because we're not going to sort of not go.
Well, yeah, and if once you go through, you want to make sure you want to stay over there, or it's $2,000 to turn around and come back.
Well, at that point, then if we don't want to go to French Polynesia, then we kind of head up to Mexico.
I mean, that's the plan right now, So I'm sure we'll still go with it. Let's answer some questions here. So, greetings from Luxembourg. Have we run into any other sailing channel boats in the San Blas? We haven't.
In the San Blas, we saw one channel, but we did not say Sailing Zingaro.
Oh yeah, you saw him.
We saw them the day.
You met him at the boat show, I think. I don't know.
We met at the boat show. We saw them pull in the day that we were leaving for Panama to drop off Avalon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then I was like, well, we'll see them and say hi when we get back.
They were gone.
And then by the time they were gone.
Yeah.
So that was that would have been cool to hang out with them.
So Lainey asked, what am I reading? So my goal this year was to read 1 book a week. I was doing okay-ish until the shit hit the fan in Panama, and then I've been dealing with that all week, trying to figure out what to do. And so that's still something I'm dealing with, which kind of derailed my reading. But on my book, I'm going to read what I'm reading like several books at a time right now. So I Let My People Go Surfing by Yvon Chouinard. I don't know his last name, the head of Patagonia, who's a very huge philanthropist and basically gave the company away instead of selling it, which is a really interesting, fabulous book. And I won't talk about the books for too long, but The Power of Moments is super, super amazing. I was really drawn to it just because of the title. I downloaded on Audible. I do a lot of Audible just because I need to be moving, working, exercising, cooking, or whatever while I'm listening to something. I need to be able to multitask. And I bought it just because of The Power of Moments, because one of the main reasons, we had 3 main reasons that we wanted to travel with the kids. And one of them was that we wanted to create memories over buying stuff. And we talk a lot about different moments in our travel and how it's impacted us, good moments, bad moments, happy moments. And it talks about, it just goes into really the psyche and all the behind the scenes kind of stuff of moments, not just the experience, but how our brains process it and all that kind of stuff. So which I'm loving. I just started Sweet Success by Candace Nelson, who started The Sprinkles. The Sprinkles.
You only get to tell about one more book.
Okay, Sprinkles cupcake chain, all over the place. I love reading memoirs. I love reading business, especially rags to riches stories and people living kind of weird, off the cuff, unique lives, and people have created their own paths. And I just downloaded Where You Go Is Not Who You'll Be. Someone recommended it, and it's about the college you go to doesn't define who you're going to be. And I find that very interesting because that's kind of how our whole premise in life has been with our kids' education. And I know we do have a child that's at a top tier university in the US, and that was her goal, but that was not us driving behind her to do that. So I'm really kind of fascinated with that. And I have a bunch of other ones. I didn't just finish, like 6 months ago, I finished reading Brazen, but it's still in my head. Google that one, guys. Fascinating story. Orthodox Jewish woman who left the community, and it's mind-blowing, like the stuff she had to go through and what she's done with her life since then in such a short amount of time. So anyway, those are the reads that I'm kind of on now, and I kind of switch back and forth depending on my mood and how things are going. So greetings from Luxembourg.
Well, let's see here. Rockford asked, is everything working on the boat? And the answer is, well, right now our dinger.
So Avalon's messaging me.
Avalon's messaging you.
I gotta
a
message her back for a second because she just had this audition. Okay, awesome. On YouTube Live.
Yep.
Go watch.
Avalon just had her audition.
All right. So wait, you were talking about like.
So is everything working on the boat? The answer is
Luxembourg.
The answer is right now, yeah.
Hi, Brandy.
Like the other day we had an issue with our fuel pump on our starboard engine, in which we had to have that replaced. We couldn't. We had black smoke coming out of the engine, and for some reason everything stopped. We're like, what happened? We tried to bleed it all, and it worked, and it didn't work. We wound up when we went to Linton Bay, we had to get a new fuel pump for the engine, and everything's working okay there. What else is not working okay? At this point, we have our deck light on the mast.
Yeah, but there's always a
that's not
pocket full of
right
things
now.
that aren't working.
And also our steaming light, that's not working either. That's okay because we don't like to steam. We don't like to go ahead and use the engine. What else is not working? I think we've gotten everything done. When we were in Colombia, we got so much done that we got everything fixed, and that's all going to be in another vlog as well. But yeah, I think at this point,
getting to it. We're just catching you up now.
I think at this point,
I heard this story before.
We have everything working. Okay,
yeah.
Fine. Yes. Thank you.
Ellen says the visa gets you into the country. The carte de séjour allows you to stay. However difficult it is in France, long stay visas in the U.S. cost more and the bureaucracy is just as bad. I don't doubt it. We've never tried to get visas in the U.S., but every country that we've done a visa in, I don't mean to bag on France too much because we do love France, but this happens. I think the French Polynesian visa was probably the easiest one ever. I mean, we had some difficulties because of Will, but in general, it was a pretty easy visa. The hardest one I think was definitely Ecuador. That was a nightmare. So yeah, they're all bad. A couple of Memoirs of a Geisha is an amazing book. Yeah, that's a great book. You watched
I watched the movie.
The movie, yeah, absolutely amazing.
It's a good movie.
All right,
I am not in this family. Basically, I am the podcast listener, and she is the audiobook listener, and so I listen to a lot of the Freakonomics type stuff.
I listen to podcasts too, but not as many as you do.
Right.
Hi Morocco. Hi. What San Blas Island are you at? Yeah. What one are we at?
We are in.
Will knows. I don't even know.
Banedup is the island that we're at. It's in the Hollandaise Keys chain. It's like right by the triangle, right by the Rio Diablo, and we are right by an area called the swimming pool, which we have to take the dinghy to. It's really cool. Yeah. It's an area that's only 3 and 4 meter depth. A lot of boats are anchored there right now, but we chose to stay where we are right now because the winds are so high.
It's very
and there's more shelter here than there is over there.
They're very uniquely named. The swimming pool, the hot tub.
Yeah.
The bathtub. I don't know. So some people are asking how you're doing, and someone said I missed the beginning, but I thought you were in Morocco and Will had COVID. We're really behind on vlogs. So that Will did have COVID. He is feeling better. That was 3 months ago.
That was like last year.
Let's see, November, the end of November. So we've had some things come up in life that we've needed to take care of. And the vlogs have unfortunately suffered. We're still shooting. We're just behind.
Right.
And we've actually entertained getting someone to come on and help us edit starting in September in French Polynesia because we want to be able to shoot more and keep up to date. And it's just been a little difficult the last couple of months. So that's kind of why we don't look like where we say we are, and that Will recovered from COVID so quickly. And Morocco looks very different, right? In the background. So
I think we have like 2 more vlogs of Morocco and then it's back to boat life. So yeah.
Will you ever travel to UK, Belize, or Poland? So Ben, that's where my sister and I live. We'd love to meet up with you in one of those countries. We've been to all 3. and I would gladly go back. It's not like it's not something that's on the docket right now, but we really enjoyed all three of those countries. And I don't think any of the three, actually those three are amongst the list of when we were traveling, the two that are in the European tour that we were doing in the RV, those UK and Poland were two places that we didn't think we got enough time in. And Belize, we have only been there for a hot minute on a cruise, right?
We were there for a day on a cruise.
A long time ago. So I would love to go.
So not enough to say that we've been there, although we've been there.
I mean, it wasn't just an airport visit, but
Right.
we weren't there very long.
Right.
So I would love to come back to all three. But here's the thing. This is a lifestyle choice for us. We started traveling because of the kids. And for them, and the kids, Avalon's jumped ship. Largo's got 3.5 years later, and guess what? We're not jumping ship. So we have plenty of time and plenty of energy left in us to keep traveling. So I'm sure that we'll circle back to those places at some point or another.
Yep.
How's Century? How many countries has she been to?
That's a good question.
She's great. She's an unruly teenager now.
She's shedding like mad. We don't brush her enough. I think that, is that the reason?
Think she brushes. She just sheds a lot.
But all the vets say, are you brushing her all the time? We're like, yeah.
I think we brush her like every other day. So Century is born in Greece. She's been to Spain,
France.
Just
No. Spain. Portugal.
Greece, Portugal, Spain,
Martinique. If you call that a country.
Curacao, Bonaire, United States, Colombia, Panama. She's been to 9 countries. She's
been to France if you call Martinique France.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I already counted Martinique.
Right.
So 9 countries. Pretty impressive. The 40 Rules of Love. Oh, 2 people recommended that book. I don't know. I'm going to read that. Is that like 50 Shades of Grey? I don't want to read that. I'm sure it's something more, a little deeper than that, right? May have missed it, but with all the sailing experience you have now, what's your comfort level of doing trans-Pacific crossing on your own?
That's a great question. Do you want to answer that question? That's a great question.
Do you want to see us fight on camera?
No.
Okay, so Will is confident, but we had the boat 5 minutes and Will thought we could cross an ocean. So we can't trust Will's judgment.
That's not even close to funny.
I am Safety Sarah. Just call me Safety Jessica. So I think we can cross an ocean. What we learned from going with Brad and Avalon is it's really nice having 5 people crossing.
Right.
You do about 3-hour shifts in the day, 3-hour at night, and then every 5th day you don't have any shifts and you cook all day. That's kind of been our schedule. Cook and clean.
What we also learned was that after we were done with Brad is that I think there was a lot of lessons learned, and the lessons learned translate very well to us being able to cross another ocean. And the reason why I know that is because after we were done, we took down notes of everything that we learned from the crossing, because we thought we were going to do either a video or a live.
You did?
Yeah, we did. It's in one of the notes here. And everything that we learned was basically now jotted down for posterity. And we never did the live, and we never did the video of what we learned from the crossing, but we do have the notes. And we need to talk about that again, because I think, at the end of the day, what we realized was, and you and I both conclude on this, is that if we have enough crew, which, back then it was the 4 of us, Avalon, Largo, Jessica, and Brad. If we have enough crew, meaning +1, and now +2 because we don't have Avalon either.
Ideally 5 would be nice.
Right, so 5 people.
Yeah.
Then we can easily do a crossing.
Yeah, so I asked Brad if he wanted to come with us again. But Brad's moving back to the UK. He lives in France, and he's like, that's not going to work. That's where we're moving. So Brad's not coming with us again. And I'm on the fence, guys. I really enjoyed the crossing. I wasn't terribly sick. I wasn't dying to get off. When we got to land, I could have gone another week. It's 4 weeks. And so I'm on the fence. And if I get off, if I don't decide to go, I'll fly and we'll get crew to replace me. So it's a up for discussion thing. That meeting we had this morning, we're going to have another meeting talking about if I'm going to cross or not.
The question becomes is really like, what can you do with that month-long time? Because when you're on a crossing, you're not really accomplishing any goals besides the goal of crossing an ocean. Yeah. So if you have ambitions and so forth and so on.
I have some really big goals for us and our business this year that take a lot of my bandwidth.
So I mean, if it's not because of fear or because of safety, it's because
no, I'm not really scared. I have been getting some weird seasickness in times and in sales that shouldn't be. I shouldn't be getting seasickness. But it's more of a time thing. Like I can't work during that time. And like I said, big plans, and we're trying to maximize our time. We're trying to get back on point to be only like a couple weeks behind on the vlog. And so, it's just the two of us doing the workload here. So we have to kind of figure out how can we maximize our time and still get time as a family and sleep once in a while.
It's a big ocean.
Oh boy. Favorite destination. Hi from Tennessee.
Hello. It changes every day.
I can't answer that question.
It never.
I used to answer that question, but
I used to have a go-to for that as well.
I feel like there are different. I like different places for different reasons.
Like so, if someone says like usually the question we get is what's your favorite country, and that's okay. What's your favorite destination? It has like a different connotation because it could be.
Here's my answer. The top 5 places, experiences, destinations, or things that I've really enjoyed in our 8+ years of travel have been going to the Galapagos, our time in Morocco in the RV, the Camino, India, and hiking through the Andes Mountains to Machu Picchu. Those are my top 5 moments, experiences, whatever you want to call it, from travel. And I particularly liked when we lived in 3 countries for 9 to 12 months before we started moving faster in the camping car through Europe and now on the boat. I really enjoyed our time in Ecuador and France because we really got to develop friends that were born and raised there, which really enriched our experience. So, and then I have other countries that I love for various reasons. Like we really enjoyed our time in Norway because the nature and the beauty and everything. And, like the different countries for different reasons. Kosovo was an amazing surprise because people said, don't go there. It's so dangerous. And we went there and it was wonderful and lovely. Ukraine, I'll tell
you where I wish I would have spent more time in. I think that's because sometimes your favorite place, if you go back to it, it's like, okay, like the shine sort of goes away from it, and it's not as wonderful as it was like the first time you were there. So, but I'll tell you where I'd like to spend more time, and I wish we would have spent more time with the right equipment in Bonaire, on the boat, because I wish, like for instance, I wish we would have had, like, because we don't have scuba gear on board and we don't have free diving gear, but we did go scuba diving. We rented gear and we did free diving lessons, but we rented all that stuff. And I wish we would have stuck around there to sort of perfect all that a little bit more. So I think I would have done that.
And like some countries get a lot of our time and they fall into a certain point in our life. Like we were in the camping car to the RV in Morocco for 3+ months. Morocco got a lot of attention and a lot of our life, and we really enjoyed our time there. But then there are countries where...
Wait, someone's saying our sound is going in and out. Is the sound still going in and out? We just kept on going. Sorry. Not that there's anything we can do about it.
Can you guys hear us okay?
Is that better now? Sound going in and out?
Uh-oh. No one's saying anything.
Damn you, Starlink. No,
sounds good.
Okay, good. Okay. Sorry.
So for example, some countries like Bonaire, we came in there. There was some bad weather coming, so we left and went back to Curacao.
Well, we're answering a different question. Okay. What was your favorite destination you haven't visited yet?
Okay, hold on. Let me finish that.
All right.
So Bonaire, we came in. We had great plans. It was our last summer with Avalon before university. Bad weather came. We had to sail back to Curacao, turn around, spend a week, turn around, come back. And then in Bonaire, we had Avalon graduated from high school, and we had a party for that. Will had a birthday. Avalon had a birthday. We did something else, and we needed a week to just recharge. We actually took a week off from everything, and we didn't really get to too much. And we had a friend come visit. Alan had a friend come visit. So like a country like that, we didn't really get to feel it well because of circumstances going on in our life, if that makes sense. Curacao, same thing. We were in a remote marina and I had to leave the boat for a couple months with Avalon. Like there's different pockets. Same Europe, Montenegro. I saw it for a hot minute. Same with Croatia, where Will saw it longer. So there's so many things that impact it, that I always try to see the good in each country. I mean, there have been countries that I just haven't connected with so deeply. And I'm sure in the past I've mentioned what they are, but I hesitate to mention what they are because in reflection, I feel like a lot of it has to do with my mental state, the circumstances I'm in, my level of stress. Did I just have a bad encounter with 2 or 3 people? I don't want to generalize and judge a whole country like that. So, and my question was, what is your favorite destination you haven't visited yet? Oh,
How can you know that?
oh wait, want to visit is
Okay.
what the question is.
Okay.
The pyramids.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you're going that way.
Bhutan.
Please.
I want to spend more time in India, even though we've spent a month there, and we'll spend several months
I just want to spend a year eating through Thailand. That's what I want to do. I want to eat my way through Thailand.
I want to.
I love Thai food like there's no tomorrow.
I want to do that too.
I will eat and do nothing but eating in Thailand. And then it'll be like 100 degrees, so I can't exercise. And then yeah, that is my glorious plan.
I mean, I like if we're gonna talk like, high level, low, whatever. I mean, I'd love to hike the Appalachian Trail, but I don't want to be in the United States for 6 months to do it. And it's not because anything against the United States, but we've lived there. So we've done that. So we know that culture. So where else can we take a long walk? We can take the north to south route through New Zealand,
which would be really cool.
88 temples through Japan, which is supposed to be another amazing walk. There's just so many things.
I think once we get the boat,
have the boat.
Once we get the boat to New Zealand, then it's time to do that walk.
Yeah.
I think at that point it's time to go ahead and put the boat up for like 3 months and then do the super long walk.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we like doing super long walks.
Thank you, Jamal. Says you're an inspiring traveling family. I've been following your channel since 2018. Thank you so much. That's so wonderful. Thank you. Also, more time. Well, I didn't even say more time. We haven't spent any time in the Middle East. I want to explore the Middle East more. Maybe even bike through it, which I think would be cool. Where's Largo? Largo's in there. Finishing up some schoolwork for the week.
He's doing some biology.
He does a dual enrollment program, and his college class starts soon, so he wants to get ahead on his other classes. Would love to see you set sail up to Alaska.
I'm up for that.
Who's that pretty of that? That sounds so cool.
I'm up to do all of that. I'm up for, yeah.
So
that'd be cool.
So you guys are like, look at Jessica's face. So when we took our sailing lessons, I had in my head we'd be in the Caribbean in our bathing suits taking these sailing lessons, and we took them in the Med in January, freezing ass cold. And I said to Will, there's a lot of obstacles with sailing, and one obstacle I don't want to have is the cold weather. Now, does that mean I'll change my mind? Who knows?
And then we're in Colombia.
I changed my mind a lot.
And then we're in Colombia, and it was 100 degrees, and it was blistering hot. And she was like, "Get me the heck out of this heat!" And because we're at an we were at a marina, and there was no wind.
Disgusting. It was my knuckles were sweating. My knuckles.
Don't say disgusting.
Okay, the marina was not disgusting. Colombia was not disgusting. Cartagena was not disgusting. We were nasty, disgusting, smelly, sweaty people.
We were lucky that we had access to showers every day, and we took them every single day.
Sometimes twice a day.
But it was, so basically you go from extreme cold to extreme hot, and right now in Panama is just right, I have to say. However, all that being said, going back to Alaska, I would love to do it.
I would love to do it on my feet.
No, don't say that.
I don't
say
know.
That.
I'm game for a lot.
Listen,
Elizabeth said Alaska is one of her favorite places she's visited.
I can only imagine.
We haven't visited yet.
We have 2 diesel power heaters on board this boat, and
which I hope to never use again.
But they work really, really, really well.
They do work well.
So
we used them a lot when we first got on the boat.
I would not be opposed to it because I think we can stay warm very easily. I wish.
Go ahead.
I wish we had like enough lithium on board so we can do electric heat, but so what? I'm okay with using diesel heat.
Okay, Susan says do a motorcycle trip through Vietnam. I would love that.
That would be cool.
The other day I found a motorcycle that fits 3. It's the driver up here and then not a sidecar, but 2 seats behind. I showed it to Will and Largo and I'm like, what would you guys sell the boat for? Would you sell the boat for this? And they were both like, no way. So I'm trying to find 2 girlfriends to go in on me. We'll do like 3 months every year. We'll drive the motorcycle around, park it for another 9 months.
I thought you were going to say it would be you, me, and Century.
Oh, maybe Century. With Largo Century with a little hat on her. All right, Turkey. We loved Turkey. Anna wants to know how Avalon's doing. She's doing really well. She kind of is like a foreign exchange student because we haven't lived in the United States for 8 years and she hasn't been raised with American mindset or culture. So she kind of was plopped into this most universities in the US, a ton of diversity at her school, but a lot of them were raised, in an American lifestyle. So that was very interesting for her to kind of navigate that initially. It wasn't bad. It was just interesting in an observation as kind of an outsider, even though she's American. She's really found her way, loves her classes, has a great roommate, went to a dance last night with a bunch of friends. Has entered herself in an entrepreneurial competition, just auditioned for a musical at school. I don't know what else. She's in all kinds of clubs.
She's an overachiever. She definitely does everything that she can and then some. And she doesn't learn. She does not allow herself to sort of not do something because she's tired, because she realizes that the opportunity may not be there later on.
We do talk a lot in our family about, I can't speak for every other culture, but in the American culture, there's this over glorification of, you're valued and worthy and doing great things if you're overworked and tired. So we always talk a lot about mental health, taking time for yourself, meditating, breathing, work-life balance, a lot of that. And Will and I are not great at that either, but we try to talk about it a lot and be good role models.
But Avalon's like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, she was like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this.
Right, because she's lived her last 8 years, living this nomadic life. Now it's like, okay, well, I'm in US-centric life, and they have this, they have that, they have clubs, they have this,
Yeah.
And so she's going for it.
She's going.
It's awesome.
She's a business major. For those of you who don't know, Avalon goes to university in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She goes to Carnegie Mellon University. It is the number 5 business university for undergraduates in the United States. So it's an intense school. She's in the business school. She's in an intense program, and she's really made an effort to balance that out with other classes. So she has what they're called minis or shorts. No, what are they called?
They have smaller classes.
Smaller
classes.
So shorter
student-led.
Student-led. She's taking. So for those shorter classes that are less commitment, she's taking improv.
She's taking
rapping, glow stick dancing, and then she has like finance, business science, intro to entrepreneurism.
She's taking
macroeconomics and ceramics.
Right.
So she has a pretty hefty course load, and you've heard us say before that the school and the grades don't make the student. But I do want to give a little shout out to her and just kind of, we can all do a virtual clap or a thumbs up for her because she got a 4.0. And for those of you who are not on that type of a grading schedule, 4.0 is a perfect score, which means she got the highest grade she could possibly get on all of her academics for her first year at university in a top tier school, which is pretty freaking amazing. And, I hope she's proud of herself. It's not about making us proud, and it's about happiness and doing what you love. But I think that is something that you can't discount, that someone has done something like that. It's amazing.
There's a little Facebook plug. Yeah, we're proud of the Avalon. You should be proud of yourself.
Plug.
Well, similar like most people that put on Facebook, our kid got it.
Oh, so we're doing it on YouTube?
We're doing it on YouTube. There you
okay.
go.
I was like, we're on YouTube, not Facebook. She also spoke at a conference, and I don't know if we've shared it here because we're behind on the vlog. So she spoke at a conference as a guest speaker on heroism and talked about her travel life. And I got to put a link someplace for you guys. After this, I'll put the link to it on Instagram. I don't want to make you go to Instagram if you don't want to, or you don't want to follow us there, but I'll put it there. So you can take a look. It was really cool and amazing and wonderful. So that's our Avalon plug. And Largo is, he has his D&D club that he's hosting now. And he's in a dual enrollment program, which we've talked about before, where he's taking one university class 9 weeks at a time, 4 of them a year, and then the rest are high school classes. And once he graduates from high school, he'll have an AS, so it's an Associate of Science, which is a 2-year U.S. university degree in aviation, because he wants to be a pilot. And so he's kind of already starting to work towards that now. And we fully embrace that. And wow, my hair is a mess. I got boat hair.
And then talking about sort of future plans for that, then we'll have to spend a summer he'll be getting his private pilot's license
while he's in high school.
While he's in high school as well.
Yeah.
So,
come walk in South Africa. I would love. Listen, my goal is to walk the world at some point, and so I want to walk everything. And Will is going to run the world. So Will's going to run ahead, get dinner ready, turn down the bed, put a mint on the pillow, and I will come in and.
I'm okay with it.
If you had to choose between very hot places or cold places, what would you choose? Hot. What would you choose? It's okay. If you choose cold, we can meet up in the middle.
Wow. Very hot or very cold? Since I do like to exercise, I'd rather go cold, to be honest with you. I'd rather run in the cold than in the heat.
And I used to be all hot, 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 but after 4 months in Colombia dying, I'm still hot, hot, hot. But I have realized, I always thought you could just take off more clothing. You get to a point, guys, and I know this might be a shock to some of you, but you get to the point and there's no clothing left to take off. And you can only take off so much when you have your son on the boat. So it's got pretty hot in here. Hi, Morocco. I feel sorry for anything bad that you live in my country. Oh, we did have a bad experience. That we'll be talking about on a future vlog. I can't talk about it right now because I can't mentally go there. We do not judge a whole country by one experience. So, are you interacting with any other cruisers, barbecues on the beach? Not yet. We got here at the beginning of our work week, actually into our work week, and we haven't moved or left. And we just got on the cruiser net for the first time today. So we will be more in we're looking forward to it, put it that way.
Definitely tomorrow's fun day.
Yeah.
And then we're debating whether tonight we're going to get off and go out to the beach and everything else, but it all depends. That depends on how we feel.
Thank you guys for all your congratulations to Avalon. Tommy says, way to go, Avalon. It took me 4 years to get a 4.0, accumulated 1.0 each year. I love it. I know Anna Largo, being a pilot, will are like, do they still have that family discount? So anyway, the kids are part of this journey. And they're branching, and going off on their own things. And often we'll get comments like, how come the kids aren't in the vlogs? Or how come they don't want to be? It's not that they don't want to be. Well, Avalon's gone, so we don't have a choice.
It's that they're busy.
But they're busy. And we're, I'm going to give you guys a little secret here. And I've said it before. So if anyone wants to go start traveling, here's the secret. Our kids have wanted to stay out here traveling. They've never wanted to go back. And often kids end up going back, particularly in the boating community, sailing community, once they hit high school. And I am convinced that one of the reasons ours have never wanted to go back is because we're a democracy, not a dictatorship. So they've had voting power in what we do and how we do it. And if they need to get off the boat or want to go visit friends or they want to have friends on, we're always for it. Even if it's not within our budget, we may cut someplace else on something for Will and I, or something else that we needed. And we just say, nope, we're going to make this work. And allowing them to pursue their goals is another part of that equation that's really worked out well, in the sense that they don't feel like this is hindering what they want to do in life. So, yeah, it's really great. And I love giving you guys updates. And thank you so much for asking how they're doing, because they are such a part of our life. Like I said, Avalon jumped into the live yesterday, and just, this is how our life is now. So,
it's kind of tough though. It's kind of tough because,
we miss them.
No, not just that, but like, for instance, in our life has been this sort of constant transition of different places, different spaces, and so forth and so on. And we've always had the kids with us, especially like on the vlogs. And now Largo is less involved because he's just more involved in his schooling. And it's just
and he's gone to visit his sister, and he's off the boat visiting friends and stuff like that.
I miss more, to be honest with you, and sort of going back in the Wayback Machine, the time we had on the Camino where we just did nothing but walking. And
such a special time
where it was just the four of us, well, and like other people on the trail, but
and the other 8,000 people on the trail.
Well, and then we just sort of got to be ourselves, just walking, and did nothing but that. Wake up and go to sleep every day, just walking.
I think that's really special. And if there's someone listening here that's thinking about doing a long walk or something else, some other monumental thing with their kids, and they're like, oh, but we got to take this time, or it's going to cost us money, do it. They don't last in your house forever. They don't always want to go forever. And those of, how it was said about the book I'm reading about moments, that these are the moments they remember. And, they're not going to miss another Christmas with Aunt Sally. They're going to remember the Christmas you went to the Galapagos, or you went on a 20-day hike, or whatever the case may be. We're really feeling that because we're on the latter end, and the kids are kind of launching. And since you brought that up, this is not a transition to like plug our Camino, but you guys don't know because we haven't been, we're behind on the vlogs, but we do have a Camino group trip coming up in the end of September. It starts on my birthday, September 25th, for 7 days. I did close registration. I kept a couple of spots, but I needed to move forward with making group reservations and stuff like that. So I had to kind of close it. But if anyone's interested and wants those last couple of spots, just send me a message, jessica@worldtowning.com. We're going to hike the last 100K of the Camino. If you don't know what the Camino is, you need to go Google it. Not because you're going to come on the trip or not, doesn't matter. It's a really amazing experience.
The Camino de Santiago is like the official name, and we're going to hike from Sarria to Santiago de Compostela, and the 100 kilometers gets you the ability to qualify for the Compostela, which for some people it's a big deal, for some people it's not. But the actual just journey is incredible. And so.
And we're not staying at municipals like we did in our vlogs, although that was really fun. We're putting you in a little bit higher end stuff. So 2 people to a room. I think one night we have 3 or 4 to a room, but other than that, it's just you and another person.
But it'll be just basically us in our groups walking together, sharing stories and having a great time. And it's going to be amazing.
We can't wait. We've been wanting to do something like this forever. So anyway, it's on our World Hunting Voyages website. You can message me if you want information. So what someone says, Largo speaks French now.
And he's going strong.
He is going strong. He's going strong.
He's our translator. He's got to go strong.
Right? How long do you plan on staying on the boat?
Well, we're not moving out today.
Yeah. So when we started, I said, I think I'll be on the boat for 10 years. Now that we've been on the boat for 2.5 years, I don't think I'll last for 10 years. And not because I don't like the boat.
That's as of today.
That's as of today. It has nothing to do with the boat. It has everything to do with my desire of other things that I really want to do in life that the boat doesn't allow me to do unless we kind of spend like we want to say we want to do a 6-month hike. Then we need to get off the boat for 6 months.
And that may be the case.
And that may be the case. But we have to look at the financial side of it and leaving it in a marina or on the hard or whatever for 6 months and what we're going to be doing for those 6 months. How much does it cost? And how does our work factor into all of that? So I said to Will,
go ahead.
I said to Will, we got to renegotiate the terms here because I don't want you to think we're on here for 10 years unless we can get these other goals that I have, that I would like to do. And I'm sure he has other goals too. And some of them overlap. I can't be on the boat for that long because some of them can't be met. And we started talking about, well, maybe each year we do 3 months off the boat. And, we go do those other things that we want to do. Deeper land travel, go to Bhutan or whatever, and then come back to
hike New Zealand,
those kind of things.
So at the end of the day, we love this lifestyle, but this lifestyle that we have is not just of the boat; it's of travel. Right. So we miss culture, we miss so forth, some of the other things. And since we've been in San Blas, it's actually been a welcome change.
Yeah, Colombia and San Blas has had a rich culture. Right. And if you've been with us for a while and you've seen our older vlogs, you know that we really love to dig deep into the culture, the people, the food. So if the boat continues to allow us to do that, then we stay on it. If there comes a point where it's not allowing us to do that, then we got to renegotiate kind of the terms here. But the long story short, we're not one of those that are like 2 or 3 years. Like we have a lot of friends we've met out here that they're on a 2 or 3 year boat thing and then they're going back to their other life and back to work. This is our life. A travel lifestyle is our life. So, and we have no reason to leave the boat at this point. Right?
No. Except for, if we lose an engine and we have to spend $10,000 to replace it, then
or we lose income.
Right. Then that might be a big deal.
Or we lose our legs, or I don't know. Okay. Nice to hear that. Watching her growing up through your vlogs. Cheers, Avalon. You must be incredibly proud.
It's funny. Go ahead.
No, I'm proud of them. I always try to focus on, are they proud of themselves and are they happy? Because I don't want them to ever. We're making us happy should never be the goal.
But it's super.
A lot of people are screwed up because they're trying to make their parents happy. So
not just that, but if you think of it this way, and sort of you said seeing Avalon grow up, it just made me realize that sort of we've been posting online.
You're gonna cry.
No, that's not gonna cry. But we've been posting online for 6+ years now.
Oh my God, she has grown up online. I know.
And so you guys have seen her grow up, essentially. And Largo, forget it. I mean, Largo, we started posting on. When we were in 2016, so Largo was 9 years old.
He had a cute little voice.
I know, and so you guys, this is almost like a mini documentary of our lives, where you can see sort of the evolution of how things have gone on. If you've watched all 343 episodes, and even the stuff that before you put numbers on them, you'd seen how we've evolved, how our aesthetic has evolved, how my hair is thinned.
I don't know if we've evolved, but the vlog has evolved.
But but it's seeing Avalon, I feel the same way. It is interesting seeing her growth and seeing how it's gone ahead. It's almost like when you see a relative, he's like, and they were young. It's like, oh my gosh, I've grown so much. It's like, no, you've seen them grow every single episode,
Right.
and it's really cool. And I'll always be grateful that we have that, regardless of how much money you don't make on YouTube.
Right.
I'm grateful that we have that.
We do it for the love. Let's see. It's okay if you come late. So Natalie said, she's sorry she's late. That's fine. Thank you for the sweet compliment about our parenting. Natalie wants to walk the Camino. I was free of obligations, but went the homesteading way. Get a house sitter. Enchanted Nomad said, it's so hard like you. We RV full time, and while it's free, it's also restricting. Yeah, I mean, it is. I think any style of travel has its types or its restrictions. I don't know if it's one ear that's higher than the other on me, or if it's my glasses, but I lost my black glasses in Morocco, and so I'm making do with these guys until my new ones come.
Wait till you see the new ones, by the way.
I love them.
Oh boy,
they're so bougie.
They're not boat life.
They're definitely not boat life glasses. Rock Florida says they'll take care of our boat while we're gone. We'll pay Airbnb prices. We might need some boat sitters.
Listen.
Enchanted Nomad says Lago reminds us so much of our son Oscar. It's fun to imagine how he would do on a boat. He prefers the RV, especially if we keep the internet. Yeah, I mean, it's another one of the successes of doing this with older kids is they need the internet. That's how they connect with their friends. So I would never want to take that away, which I'm so happy that Starlink is here, because he would really be missing his friends and his sister if we were just kind of out here in the abyss, enjoying. We could maybe do a long weekend, but that's it.
I mean, without getting into the darker side, but since Avalon has gone, we do feel like we are a little bit less of a unit.
Yeah, we're missing her. Yeah,
since she's left, and so having Starlink has definitely helped. We talked to her.
We talked to her a lot, and he talks to her a ton. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's quite nice.
We don't talk for long sometimes because she's like, oh, I'm getting a sandwich or whatever. But Tommy says, do you see selling friendship and buying a newer friendship too if you decide to make this longer lifespan than 10 years?
I don't think so. I say that though because we're not going to need a bigger boat because we're becoming a bigger family. If anything, we are going to become a smaller family.
Unless we get more cats.
No, because I mean, when Largo makes his transition away from the home, it's just going to be the two of us, and friendship's plenty big for three of us now, and even more so with two. Right now, could we upgrade some of the systems on board? Yeah, I mean, we definitely need to upgrade a few things. We need to upgrade our inverter and
water maker upgrade.
And our water maker upgrade would be nice. But if it's just gonna be the two of us, the water maker rate that we have is fine. Yeah. So at this point, I don't think we need something more than what we have now in friendship.
If Will really wanted to, I would be going kicking and screaming. Getting a bigger or
we don't need
newer
a bigger
boats.
No, I don't.
This one we're able to afford barely, and I don't want a bigger boat, bigger expenses, more everything. And we don't need more room. We did the whole big house, backyard, basement, all that stuff in our earlier years of raising kids. And when we set out to travel, we wanted less instead of more. And the boat in itself, believe it or not, and it's considered small by catamaran standards. I sometimes feel like it's too much, and that we did a vlog about this, like there's too much work on it. And not because I'm lazy, because I love to work. I don't ever see myself retiring, but I love what I do. The maintenance of it is a lot, and we set out to spend more time doing our work and having experiences rather than maintaining a home. And so I definitely would want bigger. This serves our purpose. I love this boat.
If I'd want bigger, excuse me, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I'd want bigger, it would be only for one reason and one reason only. And I'm not even talking like bigger in terms of like a bigger boat, but I just want more storage.
More cats.
I would not want more cats. But I wouldn't mind a place to have scuba gear and a compressor. Beyond those things, I wish there would. I mean, I don't need more. I mean, this boat's pretty tight on storage.
I mean, we spent almost 3 years RVing Europe in, how big was our RV?
It was 6.6 meters long, so 21 and a half feet.
So it's small. And we were fine and happy there. And we came here and we're like, this is a palace.
However, knowing, but the boat, the RV had a shelf life. And the shelf life for the RV for us was the 2.5 years.
Yeah.
We knew that. So we weren't going to go ahead and start saying, oh well, I'd love to do this and that.
No,
Sure.
yeah, we had a cutoff date for it.
We had a cutoff date,
which we don't really for the boat. I mean, I know we say 10 years, but it was never. Will and I have changed the style of travel we do every 3 years. So September will be 3 years on the boat. And we were just talking about this today. We're like, should we change our style? We've always done it after 3 years. And we're like, no, but we're happy doing this. So I feel like we're just getting started in this. You know?
If you would have done something to Lemonade was the name of our RV, what would you have done?
Like modifications?
Yeah.
I don't think I would have done anything.
Yeah, you would.
What would you have done?
More solar.
Oh, more solar probably,
I think we would have, but we had no real estate up on top. All of our space was 100% occupied.
Yeah, I would install the jacuzzi and like a whatever.
Our biggest regret, well, not biggest regret, but our biggest complaint about Friendship was always constantly.
You mean Lemonade?
Lemonade, sorry, was not enough solar. That was our complaint about Friendship too up until a couple months ago. So yeah, it's definitely being
Danielle,
self-sufficient.
thank you for your compliment. That's so very nice. What are some of your travel goals for the next 5 to 10 years? Oh, Lord.
I think we've covered a lot of them. Don't say that because we're going to get ourselves selling Friendship tomorrow.
So some hikes.
We would love to do. Listen, we're talking like dream schedule,
Middle
right?
East
with budget, not a problem. Hike the AT Trail.
More Africa.
Definitely Southeast Asia. All of
Which
it.
is where we're heading with the boat.
All of it.
All of it. Every bit of it.
I would love to cruise. Japan. That would be a dream of mine. I know that it's hard to say doing Japan if you're going to do Australia and New Zealand because it's almost like polar opposites. So that's a big question mark of what we're going to do. Yeah. I think Japan is so fascinating, and to do by boat sounds even more fascinating.
I would love to go back to Japan.
Yeah.
We had such a wonderful 5 months there, and I would love to sail it. I want to do I want to get to Bhutan. I want to get to I'd love to spend a month or two someplace, learning. I mean, I meditate, but learning like hyper focusing into some meditation for weeks at a time. And outside of the travel thing, I want to do things that, it's travel related, but like Will said, the hiking, we want to spend a lot of time focusing on our health and our physical abilities, because we do believe that being healthy is what's going to carry us into the next several decades and chapters of our lives. And we want to make that a priority. And the travel will revolve around, things that we can do to an extent that require us to be physical. It's really important to both of us, and we're both 110% on board. Jamal says, I don't see much change in your look since both I've seen you first time, at least for me, since I've both seen you both for the first time, at least for me. Oh, thanks. You should come closer. And Shaded Nomad says, 10 years is huge. There will be new chapters and adventures on the horizon. Who knows what's in store? It's true. It's true because, we spent our 30s, having babies, climbing the corporate ladder, and buying real estate. We spent our 40s traveling. We're barely into our 50s. I'm brand new 50, and he's barely into his 50s. And that's a whole other chapter, guys. Kids are leaving the nest. Very hard at setting goals and meeting those goals. So we'll see what happens. Who knows?
We will see what happens.
Da Vinci says, you're looking so young. Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you.
That's been almost like the theme of this.
Wow, I don't know what's going on. I think we needed to hear that today. Elizabeth says, I hear that Chica and Sunsets have a great hostel in the AT. Yeah, they're friends of ours. I met her. She was one of the first people I met when we moved to Costa Rica, and we were really struggling. Like, we were barely off the boat there. And I was just like, this is so hard. And she's like, I know. And she gave me some tips. And so I would love to stay at their hostel. They're really lovely. Leanne says, I'll volunteer as head cook when you cruise Japan. Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
There'll be just eating sushi.
There will be none cooking, just eating sushi. I love it. Brandy says, my aunt in Turkey does that super meditation. It's beyond me, but she does it in India and Turkey. Well, I would need some breaks, and I would need some food, and I need to do it someplace maybe there's sushi. So Lee Allen says, catching this late, love watching the way you guys get into cultures and meet locals, unlike all the touristy channels. And Elizabeth, thank you. That's something that's been really difficult for me on the boat, to be honest. And I know this isn't therapy, but Will has a lot of his manpower outside of when he's working devoted to the boat. And so it gives him a little time to focus on the things that used to be in our life that aren't as much anymore. And when we got to Colombia, I think I got off the boat and kissed the ground, not because it was a bad sail, but because I was like, the rich culture, I just miss it so much. And so that is our kind of our goal going forward. Once we cross over to French Polynesia, is to seek out the rich, more remote island cultures and immerse ourselves into them. And if we get to places where it just doesn't feel like that, and it feels kind of touristy, the Caribbean has felt, the little bit we've been in the Caribbean has felt very touristy. We're going to leave a spot. We're just going to move on. That's the great thing about the boat. We'll move on, or we'll get off and go do some land travel someplace else.
We do wish we could have seen more parts of the Caribbean, just because
the more remote islands.
Just because, no more than anything else. I mean, you want our goal of travel has always been sort of develop an opinion based on our own experiences as opposed to what other people say. So, when we say, what we thought about the Caribbean, it's only really based on 2 islands that we hung out.
Our limited experience. I mean, we've been to a lot of Caribbean islands, but on vacation.
And we got the gist of it. It's basically, it's very tourist centric. That there's always sort of a way to spend your money.
It's pretty expensive. And it's a bit out of our budget.
But I don't think we really saw the beauty of the Caribbean that we should have seen it. And so, we like Cuba, it was nice, but we were in a marina. We liked Martinique, but we were in a marina. I would have loved to have done more of the Bahamas. Because we hear nothing but amazing stories.
But that's so far out of our way that wasn't really an option. We came into Martinique and we had to head south pretty quick. And I think you guys have probably heard the story before, but we were hosting a group trip in the Galapagos and we had to get our boat further enough south out of hurricane zone, because after the trip, I had to make some trips out of the country with Avalon, and we want to make sure the boat was safe and whatnot. So this is basically how it all evolved. And that happens. That's life. And that happens with, kids on the boat. But, I'm happiest when I'm engaging in the culture and I'm like, in a dirty hostel, maybe I got food poisoning. I'm even okay with that. I don't know where our next meal is going to come from. And I don't speak the language, understand any of the food I see in the grocery store. So that's kind of where we're kind of heading for the South Pacific. And I hear it does exist if we stay away from the more resorty, kind of touristy, vacation-y spots.
Right.
And so I've really, really missed that. Oh, someone says sound. Uh-oh, we having a sound issue? Oh no. Yeah, Elizabeth, they do have a great channel. They did a great job on the AT trail. She's talking about
Chica and
Sunsets.
Yeah.
Saying you both so confident with life on board today is tremendous inspiration. I think it is possible. It is. This is a community here.
That's the cruiser.
So cute. It's hard. I'm not going to pretend it's not hard. And there's a huge learning curve, but you get there. If you have a will to survive, you get there for sure. Lainey says, like-minded traveling is all about living the daily culture, and the locals love it so much. Absolutely. Bahamas is a great cruising ground. That's what we heard. But we can't if we get there, then we have to spend another year, and we want to get to the South Pacific, particularly with Largo. We want to get to the South Pacific and Southeast Asia, into areas that are more foreign for him before he jumps ship.
But we do have a reason to go there, because like our best friends cruising are out there, in the Bahamas. So that
we do some really good friends of ours. Yeah.
But that's okay. We think that they'll catch up to us in French Polynesia. So that's
fine. They will. If we're going to be there for a year, and we have some plans to get off the boat this summer. We're going to go in June. We're going to be hosting a group trip to India in the end of December, beginning of January. And we have to go do some more research on it. So we'll spend a lot of June in India. The kids are thinking about doing some backpacking together in Southeast Asia, and we might circle up and meet together. We'll be off the boat again in September to go hike the Camino group trip. So it's going to take us, we're going to need a year to get through French Polynesia. Obviously, we're not going to see all 300 and plus islands, right? But we're going to go slow. If you've been following us for a while, we've gone kind of fast. And we feel like we need to go just a little bit slower in what we're doing to, enjoy. This is a necklace that really needs to be cleaned, guys. I need jewelry cleaner or something here, but the necklace says "Find Joy in the Journey," and I've been wearing it for 9 years because my mom gave this to me when we were planning to become full-time travelers, because I was missing the journey of planning it. And there's not a lot of joy in planning it. It kind of sucks, but I was still like so stressed out all the time, working all day, doing school stuff for the kids at night. And Will and I would sit down at 9 o'clock at night and get our spreadsheets out and go. And I was just like a machine. We're going to make this happen. And so I lost sight along the way of just being in the space I was in and enjoying the process. And so we're really trying. We felt like the last couple of years have been pretty fast with everything going on in our lives and with the kids and with the boat and with COVID and learning and our trips and then trips got canceled because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to do like a slower pace that you guys probably won't even notice. Well, you might, because the vlogs will actually be coming consistently. But in general, you won't notice. But we feel it's necessary so that we can get the things we want out of this life, like immersing more into the culture and stuff like that. So you guys have some great questions. Oh my gosh. What else do you have for questions? Bring them on. I just looked at my list of what we could talk about if we like ran out of things to talk about. And I'm like, well, we talked about like everything already. So we don't have anything left. Yeah.
Yeah. So
what do you guys have?
But well, going back to the talking about the Pacific crossing, we do need a fan crew.
Yeah.
So we do need to sort of work on that.
Pronto. That's another thing on our list.
That's another thing on our list, and that's something that
what we're looking for in crew, and then start looking. Yeah.
Because you just don't bring anyone on board, so we have to do the best we can.
Right. This has to be someone that can deal with our crazy family. How likely are you to live in an RV again? You want me to answer my side of that?
Yeah.
I don't ever want to live in an RV ever again. However, I could live in a van.
Well, same thing.
No, it's not.
Well, the RV we had versus the van.
I loved our time in the RV, and it worked really well with the kids. I want something smaller and more efficient that can like mysteriously drive into a McDonald's and park there for the night or something like that. Something small and easy to manage. Yeah, I mean, like we'll be like van life old folks at like 80, van lifing around.
I could, but when you say RV, I think van. At the end of the day, particularly if after Largo is gone, I can easily do that again. Yeah, I think it'd be amazing, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Let's see. So I'm just skipping down to the comment on that. I agree. Same thing. Road life. Yeah. The RV was easy and whatnot, but it was a little big. I know. And people are watching this from the US are like, big, that's a peanut. I just love the van life concept and just like living on less and just simplicity. So how can you describe your boat life experience? Is that something you have expected to be or not? You want me to go with mine? Because you have something different, I'm sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see.
Let me preface this by saying that we've always
Jessica's drunk. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that we've always thought about doing a van life or RV life versus boat life comparison vlog.
And we should.
Because I know that there's a lot of value in that, because we've done now both for
I think we
2.5 years, and now we can actually say that we've been an equal amount of times in both.
So the boat is less scary than I initially started off thinking it was when we were on it. I'm not scared anymore. The seasickness I thought would go away more than it has. The expense of the boat, people tell you it's going to be expensive. I think it's far more expensive than we ever anticipated. And
that sounds right.
And we anticipated a lot more expensive. So that's definitely been a level of stress for us, more than we anticipated. And, we had insurance in Europe, and it doubled when we crossed the ocean. So
it did more than double. It like quadrupled almost.
Yeah.
When we crossed the ocean.
And it's going to stay that way. So I think if you're considering this, it's a great life. When people tell you it's going to be X amount more, or it's going to be 10% of whatever your purchase price, whatever it is, I would say double that amount. Now, we may go 6 months now with no repairs or nothing like that, but there are monthly expenses on the boat, like insurance, if you're going to have insurance, that are far more than we ever anticipated. I like it more than I thought I would from a sailing standpoint, particularly in the beginning, where it was really scary for me and I was sick all the time. So that's just my personal thoughts on it. I don't mind the small space because we came from a smaller space. Let's see, what else? What are your thoughts? I know you have a lot more thoughts on this because you think about this a lot more than I do.
I think boat life is
and that's a great question.
Because we work on board as well.
Yeah, oh my God, that's a great thing to say.
It is not sort of the
it's harder.
It's not that it's harder. It's not what's portrayed on YouTube.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, the easiest way to put it. Because of me,
I told you he had better things
look,
to offer.
a vlog is, at the end of the day, it's maybe an hour of footage. You trim down to 15 to 25 minutes, and you show something amazing about boat life and everything else. But no one wants to see. I'm sitting at the table again. No one wants to see, that here we are,
5, 6, 7, 8 days straight at the table on the internet.
It's cloudy as can be, and I
editing.
gotta turn on the generator. No solar, or whatever the case may be. Listen, it's not a pity party. It's not crying a river. But life is life, and boat life, where you're sufficient, which means that you can't sort of go running to Amazon or to someone to help you out when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more grit. It's a lot more hard work. It's a lot more of everything. It's everything intensified.
It is.
And so either you got the stamina to put up with it and you're good, or good enough. Let's just put, and the good outweighs the bad. The one thing that we've always learned about this travel life is that the highs are super high and the lows could be better.
Low.
And so, not to say the lows are awful, that you're willing to sort of throw it all away, because you never are, because you have too much money put into it.
Yeah.
But we what we don't see ourselves doing, which enough more than anything else, is like doing the sundowners every day, which we don't want to. We don't see ourselves jumping in the water every day and sort of going snorkeling, because we just have way too much going on.
Yeah.
And so the idea of boat life being, the end all be all is great if you're retired.
I think if you're retired, or if you have a lot of passive income, or you're taking a couple of years sabbatical.
Right.
But working full time, and we work more than full time, and raising kids and educating kids and navigating life and taking care of the boat is a lot of work.
It is.
Now the good far outweighs the bad, because right now the way boat sales are at our boat, which holds its value, we could walk away from this boat and probably make back everything that we paid for it and everything we've put into it. Minus maybe 10 grand. Maybe minus 10 grand. Anyway, but we're not saying we want to do that. But I don't think we can sit here and pretend that that it's all rainbows and unicorns and sundowners. It's definitely hard work, but if you could talk to someone else and they could be completely different, because they could be 50 and retired and on here, and then their whole life can be maintaining and take caring the boat and all that stuff, and that's not our situation. So, and that's really never been our situation, because we started full-time traveling well before retirement. This is a lifestyle choice for us, we call it. So this is our suburbia that just moves, it's a lifestyle choice of an environment we want to raise our kids in and we want to live in, but we can't absorb and do everything because we're still working and paying taxes and schooling like everyone else that's in a stationary life. That makes sense. And I hope it doesn't sound depressing, because we love it.
I think it's reality.
It is definitely reality.
Right. You can't go ahead and just think, I'm gonna start traveling. Everything's gonna be magical and the clouds are gonna part, because it doesn't. You still have to deal with life, and on being on a boat, life consists of also a diesel engine. It consists of a sail plan. It consists of
proper planning for food, or you're going to run out in San Blas Islands.
Plumbing, and there's no one out there to sort of help you out when you're on anchor. So you just have to sort of be able to say, okay, life's not going to be perfect today, but that's okay, because look at this island right here.
Look at that.
Life.
So I'm working on my computer, but I'm looking at that instead of snow, which I did for many years out of my office window in Boston. So, all right, some questions here. I missed the beginning of the live stream. Have you already talked about the podcast? Oh, the podcast.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh my God. Okay, here's the deal with that damn podcast. This week, I was like, okay.
No excuses.
It's not excuses. It's reality, guys. We're doing reality here, aren't we?
Oh boy.
Okay. This week, I was like, I'm putting the final touches on everything that we're going to do. And then we're going to start taping the episodes. We want to tape 5 and get 5 up. And then we do weekly after that. Right. And on Sunday, we had to cancel our Peru trip because of the civil unrest there. And the entire state of emergency. One, because I was really, really excited to go back, to go with this group. And it's an income for us. It's a substantial income.
That's part of how we survive.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger income generators that we have. So,
and we've canceled more trips than we've actually had
because of the way things go on in the world, not because of us.
Right.
So I cried for a while, and I really was in a funk for a couple of days, and I wasn't super productive. And then we had to figure out, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to reschedule it? Are we going to, so there was a lot of logistics to take care of, and the podcast didn't get worked on at all this week. And I woke up this morning, I said, okay, next week I'm going to put the final touches on. So We're hoping
we're
hoping February, beginning of March. And for those of you who don't know about the podcast, just to give a 2-minute kind of breakdown on what's going to happen, we are starting a podcast, and it's not going to be a travel podcast or a sailing podcast. Although everything is going to be everything we speak about is coming from those experiences. We are going to be sharing stories, whether it's a story or a situation that happened to us or someone we met along the way that changed our opinion on something or reinforced something that we felt, the lesson we learned from it, and how it can be applied to everyday life. So what we've learned along the way of traveling that can be of greater good and use to everyone out in the world is that the premise of the podcast. And when we decided to start a podcast, we didn't want to do a travel podcast. There's plenty of them out there. They do it great. They're of great value. We didn't want to do a sailing one, same situation. We wanted to do something where we were giving back what we've learned from this lifestyle. We want to do something we were passionate about, because here's the reality. People don't make any money off podcasts, or very little. So we're not doing it for the money. So we should be doing it for something we believe in and we're passionate about. And when we left the United States 8.5 years ago, we knew we'd be making less money, but we knew we wanted to do things that we were really passionate about and believed in. And so the podcast is the next step in that process. So thank you for asking. It's coming. We do have a lot to say.
We have a lot.
How about a trip to Mont Blanc? Oh, I would love that. I would love that. Oh, I should put that on the list. I'm putting that on the list. Okay.
We've been there.
We have. Enchanted Nomad said, I grew up with sailing. My husband wants nothing to do with it. I'm always amazed at how you guys have brought it together. I keep showing him your videos like, see? And he's like, they're crazy.
You know, the interesting part about that is, and we've had conversations about this recently, it's that for full-time traveling, usually when the couple comes and says, we're talking about it, there's always one person who's not on board. When it comes to full-time traveling, it's always the female.
What?
The woman who wants a full-time travel?
Yeah,
not the man?
It's 9 times out of 10, it's the female. And listen, all the people that we work with as coaching clients who want to do this full-time travel life, they come to us, and usually 9 times out of 10, they're both on board. Like they've already overcome who didn't want to come. Okay. But if they're not both on board, it's 9 times out of 10, it's the male that doesn't want to go.
And it's always 9 times
Come
out
on,
of 10.
boys.
But when we hear about the boat life, it's always the opposite. It's always the guy who wants it, because it's always been the childhood dream.
Right.
And they have to get their partner on board.
It's so interesting. Okay, in conclusion, boat life or van? Ooh. I think for me to answer this, you need to ask me in like a year and a half. Because I think we're just going to be getting, like, the San Blas feels like everything I imagined this would be. And this is the first time I've really felt like that on the boat.
It's so nice.
Yeah, it is so nice. It is so nice because we sailed in Europe, and I love Europe, but we knew Europe. Europe felt like home, familiar to us.
But Europe felt like every time you were anchoring by a strip mall, because everywhere you anchored, there was always a convenience store.
Or in the Balearic, someone's stripping because everyone's naked there.
Right. Here, you really feel like you're remote. And this is exactly the reason why we're here.
If we can get this and rich culture, I choose boat.
Right.
But the jury's still out on that. Because we haven't gotten that yet. No seasickness. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I just have to live with that. Love from UK. Thank you. Where did I go? Do you all have regrets about not keeping the house that you all looked at and remodeling and living in a basement retirement? I think you're talking about the house that we were looking at, that we were deciding between the boat in France. It was between that house and the boat. I don't.
We talk about that.
Will sometimes.
We talk about that house.
Sometimes Will does. Not regrets, but he's like, I could have done the house.
And the house is still in the market.
Especially when, and it is still in the market.
It's still in the market.
So I check back, because you guys know I want a small, inexpensive remodel in France. So I check back with them every now. I'm like, has the price gone down? It hasn't gone down enough. But I fear that if we would have gotten in that house, which was supposed to be a temporary spot to remodel and hold us through COVID, I worry we might not have been able to get out.
I think it would have sunk every penny into it.
And because of COVID, our income's been impacted greatly because we haven't been able to host our trips. So I fear that we wouldn't have been traveling again, and that would have been really awful. So I don't know. You answer that. Do you feel?
I would have liked to have gotten, like, torn down walls.
I want to get my
and everything
hands
else.
dirty. Yeah, I want to do that. Yeah.
Kind of. I would have enjoyed that a lot. I doubt the only downside of that house was that it wasn't near a train station that could have gotten.
So we would have to get a car.
So we would, well, car's okay, but you know, it's so much easier just to hop in the train and go to Paris or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's downsides to everything, but we do think about it a lot.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
It comes up in conversations like once a month.
Does it come up that much?
Once a month.
I don't wish we would have bought it. I feel like it wasn't right for us. Although I would love to have a small place in Paris. In France. Paris, yeah, but that's way out of our budget. Left field question: have you ever considered being a contestant on The Amazing Race? You'd rock the field. I would love that. That sounds so fun. But I don't know if we can hang like if we're up against 20-year-olds. I mean, we have the knowledge of the travel that they probably don't have and the navigation. But if they haven't traveled, if they grew up as a traveling kid, they're going to kick our ass. But I don't know if we could hang physically. I mean, they're run. Do you think it's as dramatic as they show it on there? No. You think they sleep in nice, comfy places?
No, but I don't think it's that dramatic.
Okay. Thank you, Gerardo. He says we're his heroes. That's very nice. Did I see Island behind or Imagine? Oh no, that's Island. Look at that. Isn't that cute? All right, let's see what else we got here for questions. I watched your last video and I'm delighted to see you in good shape and that you're doing well. Big hi from Casablanca. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I did get over COVID.
I love the idea of the podcast. Can't wait to listen. That's a really strong idea. Did you visit south side of Morocco? No, we haven't.
And that's been one of our biggest. We wish we would have done more. We can only do so much when we go, right? So we do the best we can. Hi from Austria. I just want to say thank you. Been watching for years, homeschooling for 25 kids. And when COVID hit, we realized we could do it and hit the road full time. You're a huge inspiration. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so nice. Thank you so much. And you're still doing it. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, listen, anyone can do this. Okay, I'm not going to deny the fact that we carry a U.S. passport, which comes with a certain amount of privilege of being able to seamlessly get in and out of countries without certain visas and all that kind of stuff. I'm never going to deny the fact how fortunate we are. And we have all the freedoms we have because of the country that we were born into. It's not anything we did. We were just born there. And I'm grateful for it. But we're not superstars. We really are just average people who had a corporate job, and I had a graphic design business. We don't come from money. Our families don't support us. We just made a commitment to change our life. And you know, some of the things I look back on that we did, it must be because I'm aging, because I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe we did that. Like some of the things we've done along the way, and I can't even think of examples right now, but Will and I will be talking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we did that. Like that was insane. Like, what were we thinking?
We got stuck in a ravine in Turkey and had to have a tractor trailer
pull us out. Yeah.
You know, it's stuff like that you just can't make up. And you know, when you leave things to chance, amazing things happen. And so yeah, it is pretty cool. And we haven't stopped for the most compelling reason is that besides the
Stop
kids,
traveling, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I can't imagine.
Is because I can't imagine normalcy.
Yeah.
I mean, what I mean by normalcy is just like, you know, just like things being redundant again. It's like the same day.
The same. And, you know, we have plenty of friends who like the routine and like the same. And, you know, we're by no means judging it. We just can't imagine ourselves in it. Like, I think that it would age us mentally and physically drastically. It would take up, like, I was just saying to Will this morning, we were having a business meeting out here. I said, like, travel is this feeds my soul. It brings me so much joy and so much happiness. And we always said if one of the kids didn't like it, we would stop. And thank goodness it never came to that. But I can't imagine not having it as part of our life. It's like for me to say to someone who lives on a farm, who enjoys their farm, now you can't have your farm anymore. It's what brings you joy, but you can't have it. You know, so it might be hard for some people to understand. And some of our friends, our stationary friends, you know, they're like, doesn't it get tired hunting for the grocery store or doing visas or having to find a doctor? You know, those are the moments where it really is exhausting and frustrating. We never said we want to go back and settle in one spot, but those are really hard times, particularly in Colombia for me. I had to go to the doctors a lot. My Spanish is terrible. I had to go without Will. And there was no priority to an appointment. So I would spend 2-3 hours sitting waiting for my appointment. I bring my computer, I would work, but it was so frustrating to me. And that's what happens. You know, this lifestyle, you have to have a lot of patience. And I am a very global citizen. I consider myself a global citizen. Right in here, there's a big piece of American in me that likes efficient systems. So I have to be like, breathe. And I breathe a lot, and I'm like, you know, not every place is the same. You know, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly, and clearly there's not good things going on in our birth country as well. You know, but you know, you can take a person out of their birth country for a decade, and there's still going to be things that they really miss. So I'm going to answer some questions here. Let's see. Taking our kids across their first border was like life itself. It is a simple thing, but it's more than we could have ever got to do as kids. Yeah. I mean, I left the United States for the first time. Under my parents' roof, I only left the United States once or twice to go to Mexico. And that was more than any of my friends did. It wasn't something that did. My parents didn't have the means for that. It wasn't part of our. I got a text Laura, turn off the water maker. Okay. Text Avalon. She said, "Are we done?" Tell her no. Background is beautiful. Thank you. How big is your cat? Is it big enough for you and your family? I want to build a 42-foot. We're 38 feet. We don't need much space. We have 3 cabins. It's totally sufficient for the 3 of us. Avalon's at university now, but it works for us. And I personally would not want a bigger space. But you know, you got to do what works, you know, for your family and what you think everyone needs for space. But we did come from a very small RV, and we love that. So we like small spaces. If you have to compromise nothing, don't compromise on battery capacity, solar, and being able to make water. Yeah, don't compromise on the systems. Compromise on the space. Right. Yeah. Because if you're a big energy consumer, like we are, because we have laptops and phones and so forth and so on, that's going to hurt more than anything else as opposed to space. Because if you can always just it's going to be a constant stress. It's going to be a constant stress. If you can constantly say I can take a shower when I want to, then that makes life better. If you have to say we can't take a shower today because we don't have water, and you may be okay, your partner may be okay, but your teenage son or daughter might be like, I want a shower. Right. You know, so and that just makes that's reasonable, more right? Than anything else. And it's also stressful. Like I've watched Will before we upgraded a lot of things. I've watched Will like monitoring things and like being like, okay, who streamed something? Did someone stream something? Who streamed it? We are out of Wi-Fi. You know, so awesome. He's really a very so there was a lot of that way, or there's a lot of stop running the water, you know. So we're a little we do believe in conserving resources, but you know, it's nice to not have to be as kind of on it as we were before. Stress. How do you generate most of your income? Our group trips, Patreon, yeah, YouTube AdSense, not that much, very little. We do this because we love it, right? And if you're thinking about doing YouTube, I mean, there are the unicorns out there, but most people aren't surviving off the income from it. So do it for the love of it. Really do it for the love and the sharing of the story, and make that your focus. And it will grow, and you'll find your people, and you'll find your tribe, and all that stuff. When you decided to change your lifestyle, did your family and friends support it, or did you find yourself defending your choices? We never defended our choices. That's always been a complicated question. Yeah. So I'll start it by saying that when we had our children, we didn't want to name them traditional names, and we didn't tell anyone because we didn't care about anyone's opinion. They weren't going to change our opinion. When we decided to travel full time, we are not an overnight success where we sold all of our stuff and left 6 months later. It took us 7 years. 7 years. We were just 21 back then. Before we started traveling full time, we were trying to. Now you're laughing. Someone else is laughing. Everyone's saying we look so good. They might think we're only 30. Thank you, by the way. So Will was a corporate guy, and we tried to go as expats through his company. And so we tried that I was pregnant with Largo when we first started entertaining that. We're this close to actually sealing. Yeah, and that's another story for another time. Almost the size of that tree. We're that close. Yeah. See that? We're that cheesy too. And It didn't work out. And long story short, we ended up going on our own 7 years later and selling a bunch of things and taking off with the income from my design business, because I was working remotely already way before people even knew what it was called. And Will left his corporate job. So our families had always heard us saying, we're going to go live in another country. We're going to go live in another country. This was nowhere way within their concept of what we were going to be doing. Not even close. And so my parents, I think, eventually thought we were crying wolf, guys, because we had said it for so long. Mine were supportive. They had any normal parent concern that we are conditioned to believe our kids will not get if they leave their birth country. So, and there's a normal concerns, and I don't knock my parents for having these normal concerns. Will's parents had them too. Will they have friends? Are they going to be able to go to university? Things like, oh, how is it going to affect our careers when we want to come back? Are we going to be able to financially support ourselves? All that kind of stuff. So our families were supportive. I would not say they were like, go, yeah, but they were supportive. They love us. They believed in us. They knew if anyone could do it, Will and I would do it. But they had the normal concerns that normal caring parents have. We did tell them we were only going for a year.
1 year. But, and that cushioned the blow a lot, because the idea of, the grandparents not seeing the grandchildren, be like, only for 1 year. That's okay. I'll come visit while you guys are there, and then everything will be better. But in our minds, we knew that 1 year was more than 1 year.
Well, our plan was we sold everything.
And I'm not selling everything at 10 cents on the dollar to buy it all back.
Right. And our plan was to go as long as we could sustain it financially, as long as our kids wanted to do it. But we didn't know if that was going to work. I mean, it was a very different time when we were planning this 9 and 10 years ago. There were blogs, but there were not vlogs. There were not people talking about this. There were not world schooling and hubs and meetups and all this stuff. There was none of that. I followed a couple of blogs, and that was it, of people who were doing it. And they weren't all doing it the way that we wanted to do it, and saw how we would be doing it. And so there really was no roadmap to, can this work? We had no idea what was going to happen with our kids. I mean, we came in with an education plan and goal, but we just didn't know. I mean, we didn't know. And I think our families were as supportive as they could have been, considering there was no resources we give them. When we work with clients now who want to travel, I say, show your family our vlogs. Do this, do that, send them reading material, educate them on people that are doing this, that are responsible human beings, paying their taxes, taking care of their medical care, educating their kids, all this stuff. Because once you normalize it for family, that takes away their fear. I mean, they're saying this to you and saying these are their fears, right? And you don't need them projected onto you. And so you just need to take some time and educate them. It's that easy. The world's changing. The kids are educating me all the time on tech. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know Instagram did that.
So by the way, we've been at this live for an hour and 47 minutes. If you don't think we can produce a podcast, you're crazy, because we could talk for freaking ever.
And you guys are sticking around. Thank you so much. And your questions are awesome. So did we defend our choices in the beginning?
No, because they knew that we were stubborn enough to do it on our own either way. So I don't think, if there's anything our parents know about us, it's that we're going to do things our way, and that's pretty much it.
And we've always been like that.
And we've always been like that.
Before we were together, since we've been together, we always had one kind of foot in normal, and I hate that word, so I'm using it in quotes, like one little pinky in there, but we could easily go haywire, right?
Right.
And that's kind of what we did. So we always kept a little bit in there, but we were always kind of doing our own thing. And so our parents kind of knew that we were crazy. I mean, we bought a piece of real estate that both of our sets of parents were like, what? You're paying what for this piece of much real estate? It was the best decision of our life. The property tripled. So it was a really good investment a long time ago. So we knew what we were doing, and we just trust. We make mistakes all the time. We always trust in what we're doing, and we're not always right. It just, that's life. I did have to defend myself to some friends, not all friends, but some friends. And even years later.
Yeah, those weren't real friends.
Yeah, well, those are the friends you get rid of, right? Yeah. If you have to defend yourself to your friends, they're not friends worth having, as far as I'm concerned. And you make.
Well, it's not just that, but they were like people we just met in the last 10 years.
No, not even 10 years, like 2 or 3, 4 years,
right.
But if you have to defend yourself to your friends, if they're not genuinely asking, how are you going to do this? I'm curious. I don't want to do it, but I really want to know how you're going to do it because I love to learn and it's interesting. If you have the friend that's like, you're going to screw up your whole life and your kids and what's wrong with you, you know, who needs friends like that? I'd rather have no friends than have a friend like that, right? Let's see. People from nice country can travel, but we Moroccan, we cannot do it. Yeah, I know. I know you have issues with visas and stuff, and that is
and the economics of it.
Yeah, and I understand that, and that's why I never take this for granted. And you will never. I'm actually writing a newsletter about this, so I don't want to give it all away. But I hate it when people leave their home country that offers them a lot of privilege and say, "I want my freedom." You have freedom. You're able to leave your country, so you already have some freedom. So don't even get me going on that. Sign up for the newsletter, and we'll talk about that there. How often do you jump in the water? Oof.
Not enough.
Depends on where we are. If we're in a nasty marina, never.
Never. I think
three times a week, 4 times a week.
Around there. We last jumped in the water on Monday. And we wanted to do it today, but we just got into conversations and then getting ready for the live and I don't know, Crimea River, but we didn't do it today. Well, we will tomorrow.
We also took showers yesterday.
Right. So you don't want to waste a good shower on jumping in the water the next day unless you get a shower again.
Right.
And as much as we have plenty of water, it's almost like growing up poor with water. That we feel like even though we have plenty of it now, we don't jump in. We don't use showers. We
always conserve our resources.
Always conserve our water on board.
Your nice family inspired me. Captain, fantastic movie. Oh, thank you. Randall says hello from Austin. We've been enjoying you since you walked the Camino. We'll enjoy seeing your return. Thank you for sharing your adventures. Thank you so much. Thank you. I remember that story from a podcast interview. Donna says, thank you for the honesty and joy sharing. You've done a fantastic job in raising 2 wonderful kids and navigate real life. God bless you both. Thank you so much. Enchanted Nomads, we didn't really tell our family that we were going full time. We let it evolve into it. They see that we are and our kids are thriving and all is good. Right. Right. And that's kind of what we circle back is that our parents saw our kids thriving and they saw our family thriving and they saw us not being ships passing in the night and spending time together. And, you know, I mean, they weren't even questioning it tremendously to begin with. They were just questioning normal things. But now they're like it's cute because they're like shouting at the rooftops, like, look what this one did and look what that one did and look how happy they are. And I think that's when you know your family really cares, is that they just want you to be happy and all that other stuff that we're taught to worry about, like out here, all the noise just goes away. Let
me give you an example. So, and I don't even know this is where this whole life's supposed to go, but who cares? Here's another story. So when I was, I don't know, 14, 15, whatever it was.
Oh, we're going way back machine.
13-ish, whatever it is. And my oldest brother and I are like 4 grade years apart. So we were never in high school together. So when I was a freshman in high school, he was a freshman in college. And I forget how the sequence of events went, but he eventually went away for college. Whether I think it was for like his junior and senior year, whatever the case may be. And when he left, it was, and I'm not saying anything, but when he left, it was like, okay, you're gone. And there was very few phone calls. I mean, back then you're still paying for long distance, but the phone calls between me and my brother were like he was calling my mom and it's like, hey, how's it going? Good. Okay, let me talk to mom. Okay, fine. And that was it. And the way it is now with with our kids, with Avalon Largo, they talk like 5 times a day. And
they're best friends
because they want to.
Yeah.
And it's not an indictment of how I was growing up, but I think that
that was one of the concerns of people, though, friends particularly, or how are they going to have peer friends and this and that, and so that kind of dovetails.
And just like the closeness that they have with each other is beyond what I could ever imagined at all. Avalon has friends, but she also chooses to spend time and talk to Largo.
Yeah, they both have friends outside of each other.
Right. And it for me that's magical. And I think
I think so.
I think that is for me proof that that I'm proud of what we've done.
Yeah. It was worth it.
And
there's been some hard times. I'm not going to pretend there hasn't been,
because
I don't want to candy coat it. It's really hard. What suggestions would you have for a family that is going to start homeschooling? If you're going to travel too, then start homeschooling now before you start traveling. Understand how to homeschool before you learn how to travel. And I'm speaking from experience. He started working remote for the first time ever in his life. We started homeschooling. We moved to a country where 3 of us didn't speak the language, and it was Whoa, a lot.
That was pre-COVID. That was pre.
Yeah.
Now everyone works.
It was a
remote.
lot to undertake at once.
Right.
So if you're just going to start homeschooling and you're not going to be traveling, I would say if you're in a spot where you can tap into your local, if there's a local homeschooling community at all, start there. Talk to people who've gone before you, find out what they've done, and find your way by listening to them of how you want to homeschool. Listen to some podcasts, watch some blogs on it, whatever you need to do. Learn as much as you can so you know what kind of style you want to homeschooling, because there's all kinds of different ways. There's unschooling, there's homeschooling, there's world schooling. There's, buying a certain program academic wise and your kid just does the program. There's cherry picking it from different places. There's a lot of different ways to go. So educate yourself as much as you can before you get started. And then number 2, trust that you can do it. Maybe you don't have a teaching degree. Neither do I. I said to Will when Avalon wanted to do it, I can't do this. I can't do this. He said, you can do this. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm going to screw up our life. And the reality of it is you're going to take pride in your child's education more so than any teacher. And it's not because I don't believe in teachers. Teachers are my favorite and I love teachers, but they have to deal with it once, and their job is to educate everyone. And if they were just educating your child, they're not doing their job very well. So you have more time and energy to spend on your child and educating them. So definitely focus on that. Find your tribe. Learn as much as you can about homeschooling before you get started. And trust that you can do it. And if it doesn't work out or your kid doesn't like it, you can always go back to where you were. Once they're gone, you can't go try it. So try it and see how it goes. I hope that helps.
Let's deal with the last two questions because it's getting.
Where did you meet and what was your wedding like? Oh boy.
Wow. Okay.
We met at a trade show.
We met in San Diego, California.
We met at a travel trade show. Will was.
I was a sales rep for a cruise line, and she was part of the group that put on the trade show for travel agents.
I was a graphic designer for them, and they said, we're going to need you to travel 3 months a year and help out at the trade shows. And I was like, woohoo, free food, free alcohol, nice hotels. I was like 22. I'm like, sounds good to me. And
my region was not California, but when basically someone who worked for the company that I worked for, he quit. And so they said, we have these trade shows that we've already paid for the spot. Can you go there and cover for them?
And I had just gone off 3 months of traveling and they fired someone on my end. So it was destiny. And we met kind of through travel related because it was a travel trade show. I don't know how it would have worked out if I didn't have all the free drink tickets. So I'm going to just let you all process that. I had all the free drink tickets. Someone wanted more drinks. Had he gone to the other girl, would that be his wife? Like, how is that?
And we know who that other girl was. And she's very nice. But
she's still friends with us.
She's still friends with us.
So we have a vlog out. I don't remember what the vlog's called. I think it's called How We Met or something like that. You can check it out for more details.
That's when we're in Bulgaria.
And we did 2 years long distance. I was living in Los Angeles. He was living in Florida. I had a job I liked. He had a job he liked. He went back to school. So we did the long distance thing. And then we moved to New York City together. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Moved back to Los Angeles for many years, moved to Boston, lived there for 7 years, and then started traveling. So that's kind of the fast track of it. But yeah, we were
like this.
Yeah, we met and did long distance for 2 years back in the days of pagers. Can you imagine?
We had SkyTel pagers.
Long distance relationships have it so easy now. They can actually see each other on video. Imagine that. This thing called Zoom, FaceTime. Right. Anyway, have we seen any UFOs? No. And I hope we don't. I saw some Christmas elves when I was a kid, and that scarred me enough. So I don't want to see
Avalon was on board a couple of weeks ago, and basically here or there's no light pollution, so every star is visible. It's amazing, and we were there just counting all the shooting stars. It was so amazing. So yeah, it's quite nice.
But I will let you know if we see a UFO. If I survive it, because I might have a heart attack. Okay. Watching your vlogs are better than Netflix. Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Enchanted Nomad says, what would you say has been the highest hurdle to cross as a full-time traveling family?
Getting past the suck, I would say.
There's some suffering involved.
There's a lot of suck out there. and sometimes the suck is pretty powerful. And so you just gotta sort of just like, I mean, the whole idea is that never go to bed angry. That sort of goes to this life as well. You know, you basically you can't go to bed angry at this life.
Or one bad situation, you go, I'm done with this life. When he says don't go to bed angry, don't go to bed angry at the life.
Right.
Figure out a solution. For us, there's been a lot of disappointment along the way, a lot of joy and happiness, but also a lot of disappointment of different business things we've tried and projects we've tried, which would happen in a stationary life as well. We've had some people disappoint us, happen in a stationary life as well. We've had some income challenges like through COVID with our business and not being able to host trips can happen in a stationary life too. So I think the hardest part is there's not as much of a support system when things go wrong. And since you're doing something so different than how so many people have done it, and for us in particular, we've been out here for, we're like 8.5 years at this point. There's not a lot of resources that have been out here this long that we can chat with and bounce ideas off. There's a limited community that can really understand what we're going through when things are really struggling. And Will and I always say to our coaching clients, there's 2 things you need to be able to deal with when you live like this. 1, there's going to be some suffering. There's going to be, period. And 2, you need to be okay with being an unknown. So there's no going to your grocery store. Oh, hey, Joe, how the kids are doing? How's Sally doing at university? There's none of that. If you're okay with those 2 things, you'll be okay. But those 2 things are really hard when you're having really hard times and you have no community to go to. Listen, we have a ton of community. We have community with all of you online. We have friends from stationary life. We have family. We have community that we meet up along the way. But there's not a consistent support of, okay, I know I can go to this grocery store and get this food because this shit hit the fan, Right. There's none of that. And often there's a series of things that'll happen at the same time. And you'll go, oh my God, when is it going to stop? Things come in threes. When is this going to end? The thing that's helped us the most has been really understanding and identifying why we're doing this. And it's always been because of the kids. And we have 3 reasons, which we've stated a million times, and I won't bore you with it, but our why is the kids. So whenever we get at a crossroads and have to make a decision about something, we stick to that why. And Will was just saying today, our why is going to have to change in 3.5 years since we don't have any kids with us. I'm like, oh my gosh, why are we doing this now? Do you have anything to add to that, Will?
No, I think that's pretty much
highest hurdle, Yeah.
You're
alone a lot of the time out here.
Yeah.
Figuring things out. One of you gets sick, you can't call grandma to come watch the 5 and 6-year-old. When our kids were little, there was no help from in-laws or anything like that, or a friend taking the kids, or, we were in Morocco to host a group trip. And
to be honest with you though, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Will got COVID and he couldn't run the trip. And Largo and I had to run the first beginning parts of the trip by ourselves. Like things like that happen where we don't have certain resources we can pull in.
I think if anything, the biggest place where we get the biggest support besides family is our patrons.
Yeah.
And because a lot of them, either have been full-time travelers before, or
they've been with us for a very long time.
Right. And they understand us. And it's easier to sort of, not to get sympathy, but sort of to communicate what's going on and get, instead of someone just saying, oh my gosh, why would you just not quit and sort of go back to reality?
If you guys knew all the things that sometimes happen in the course of a week, you would be like, they're insane for staying out here. What are they doing?
They're insane for not recording it because we record only.
And we do show the good, the bad, and the ugly on YouTube. However, we don't, a lot of things that we do share with the patrons are like things that we would not share on YouTube because people would be like, oh, they're just complaining or, oh, that, but they kind of get more of the backstory on that. Right. This isn't a plug for Patreon. This is just to share where we find community and where people we get to have those more intimate conversations where it's a back and forth and people are offering suggestions to things that are going on.
We've always said the best stuff doesn't make the vlog.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately true. The camera's not on all the time.
And some of that stuff you just can't say, right?
Right.
Thank you for saying best of luck. I can see how the stress of it can be hard. All ground is new and you have to be okay with feeling like you're vulnerable. Yeah, all the time. I mean, I say we're not special and we're like anyone else and everyone else can do this. But there is a level of risk that you have to take and a level of unknown. You have to be comfortable with that.
Right.
And for us, it's evolved over the years. Let me tell you, had we just started out on the boat, it'd be done for Jessica. It'd be done.
Maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I mean, if we were just on the boat in Florida and the marina, but maybe. I mean, there's a lot more extreme to go, and we've kind of worked up to this.
It's a tough sliding scale to evolve, to actually look at, because we were. I mean, the younger you are, the more you can put up with too. So,
yeah, I think so too.
That's a tough sliding scale to sort of look at. If we started today on a boat, no.
Well, people do it all the time. So I'm not going to discourage anyone, but how we've chosen to live and do this and everything else, I think it would be very difficult for us at this point.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things that we have so dialed in, like schooling is so dialed in. Will and I can pretty much read each other's minds. When you start out traveling, if you're not already working from home together and parenting and doing all this stuff, there's a whole transition with that aspect of learning each other's emotions. Like I can tell you in 30 seconds if he wakes up in a bad mood. I don't even really need to look at him. I can hear him or how he's moving or whatever, and he doesn't normally wake up in a bad mood, but navigating the emotions is a whole other. And then you add in learning to sail and the fear and all that. And you haven't learned how to navigate each other's emotions because we don't really need to do that when we're ships passing in the night, if that's how you're living your lifestyle. That's a whole other like next level of stuff that you have to deal with, like just that you don't think about when you're planning to go full-time travel. Like it's going to be like we left the US, we're like, we're going to see monkeys and we're going to drink really good coffee and the rainforest in Costa Rica. And we got there and my computer broke and the car broke and like everything just started going to shit. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never doubted what we were doing, but I was like, this is pretty hard because I can't just go to Joe down the street who fixes the car. Now I've got to find a mechanic. Does he know what he's doing? Is he going to cheat me? Is he, how long does the car have to stay there? It's a different culture. Does it take him 3 weeks to fix something that would take a week because they take siesta or whatever? Like there's all these things you have to think about. So I don't want to go down the stressing people out train. Thank you, Matt. He says, love the channel and watching you guys grow. Okay, we're going to do one more.
And Terry, thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
Terry's one of our patrons.
Yeah.
This is our reality show, sweet. And he
knows because we share these things,
he's been with us for a while now.
And he understands we share these things on Patreon and just like work through things as a group. So I'd like to have cool parents like you. Thank you. I mean, I think one of my friends said that one day that her daughter was saying, you're so much cooler. She's so much cooler. We're like any other parent too. Like we have rules. We don't have a lot of rules, but we have rules. We have, I guess.
But remember when we said the high and the low lows? Well, the kids are sort of part of that as well. And so
right. I mean, we have bad parenting moments.
We have bad parenting moments. We have moments where we discuss things a little louder than we should.
We are kind of loud Americans.
So, there's, I think they're gonna walk off, and Avalon's walked off well equipped to handle that. Fantasyland was not where we came from.
Right.
But it is definitely, survive or not.
Yeah, I think, when you tell people, you grew your last couple of years of high school, you lived on a boat, they kind of start to see like yachts and
right.
chefs and, all this kind of stuff. She's like, well, back when I lived in the RV and had to dump the poop, and that kind of changes the conversation really quick. Someone's like, what? So, all right, last question. How difficult was it to learn how to take videos and edit? That's you, because I'm not editing.
Was it to take videos, edit? It's an evolution.
There was some swearing.
No, don't say that.
You don't swear much, but you did when you were switching from learning one software to the other.
It's an evolution. Listen, the idea of going to video. I mean, if we're gonna sort of take this in just in the 30-second version, Jessica used to have a blog called Goody Goody Gumdrop, and
that I wrote on every day.
And the blog was really good, and it showed what we did for life, but we didn't really have anything that we shared as far as video. And I had a GoPro, and I said, well, let me go ahead and just record a few things here and there, and then if it supports what she's writing in the blog, then great. Eventually, we learned that the vlog style existed because everything I would do is more like home video with like cute little music in the background, put it in Vimeo. It still sits out there. It's actually called World Touting on Vimeo. It's really bad, but it still sits there because it's a story of our life. And so that was like pre-YouTube days. And then eventually I saw that vlogs existed, and I was thinking to myself, well, the blog was almost dead at that point.
I was still doing it because I did it up until we were in France, but my heart wasn't into it because my heart transitioned to loving video, and the connection. I felt a deeper connection with the people on the other side than I did writing the words.
Right, and so we said, okay, well let's do a vlog. here or there, just see how it works. And vlogging was becoming more in vogue. My first vlog I ever watched was actually looking for researching how to actually what was the best drone to get. I wanted to get a new drone, and then I saw a drone saying the best part of the Phantom 4 is, and then dot 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 whatever it was.
He was like,
it was, and I just thought it was like a how-to tech thing, and it was a vlog by Casey Neistat, and
that's when Will's man crush started.
And that is when I started to realize, what is this? He only spoke about the drone for like 30 seconds of an 8-minute vlog, and I was like, but what? But I was so encapsulated by the storytelling and what happened. Like in the vlog, he went and he took a flight to South Africa, and he was there with family, and it was really cool because you can see the dynamic was there. And then it's like, oh yeah, and by the way, the drone. I was like, this is amazing. I was so captured by the storytelling, and here I am thinking, okay, well, we have this GoPro, we have this blog that we're doing. What if we told the blog on sort of the same idea?
Yeah.
And it was,
well, he took it to next level compared to what I was writing. Like,
well, it just, I mean,
his stuff was so much more interesting.
The whole idea of a second of video tells 3,000 words. And it, you know, of course, our initial stuff was awful. It really was. I mean, if you look at it, we
still like it.
Like the volume on the camera was awful. We had autofocus issues. I
think we still have those.
The editing was but it was okay. It was more a hardware problem. But eventually, you like what you do because you don't put out something you don't like.
Yeah.
And you want to do it again, and you want to do it again because you think it can get better.
And they became famous.
And then the kids started liking it too, and it was just like going, okay, now we realize we have something more invested into it than just wanting to share a story. The kids started loving our stories as well. And then we started realizing that this became the journey of our life.
Yeah.
Something that a blog cannot tell. And so that's how it went. And you know, the editing, just you do it enough. You learn edit enough. You learn, you watch other people's stuff, and you start saying, I want to put this into how I tell my stories. And you start watching YouTube videos of how do I do this effect? How do I do that? And it's just, 400 videos later, we have what we have now. And I'm proud of what we've created. It really has been, for me, one of those things that, you know what?
Will was an accountant.
I was I'm a CPA.
He's like a nerdy guy.
And I always thought I can get creative with Excel, but I was like, wow, this is another way to sort of exhibit creativity. And I loved it. It was one of those things that I knew that was going to change.
Yeah, you fell in love right away.
It was going to change the way we lived our life, because sometimes, like, we didn't want to go out, but it was Sunday.
Sometimes we were tired. We're like, let's go shoot, and it's like
we haven't put out a vlog out in a while. Let's do something. And this is back when we were in France.
And then engaging with people
and it's like, let's go do something. It's like, I don't want to go. It's like, listen, whether it sucks or not, we're gonna have something. And then eventually, it made us sort of be more alive more than anything else.
Yeah, and it got us to engage with people more, which we loved. We found we really liked, and sharing their stories. And excuse me.
And now, I can't ever see giving it up.
Even when he's in his walker.
I really can't. I just.
We're gonna be those people that are YouTubing in their 80s. Well,
could be.
Well, what are you doing over there in the nursing home?
It's like, be quiet, I'm taping.
Be quiet, I'm taping. How do you upload this thing? There's technology now.
Right, and as far as the editing software, you get used to it. You do it enough times, it sort of repetition gets you.
Yeah, it does. Oh my gosh, you guys, we've been talking forever. You guys have great questions. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, we have to do these more often. All right, we should let you go. Go have a great evening, day, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around. Please don't leave us. We're a little behind and a little slow on the vlogs these days. There's a lot going on. We have a lot shot, but we're behind.
Well,
I think you just gotta.
The biggest problem right now is my laptop is kind of dead.
Will's having trouble with his laptop.
My laptop has problems, and so I have a trip scheduled to go get it fixed. But that's.
Remember, I said I shook it. So every day he's like, "Can you shake it?" And I'll shake it, and sometimes the screen will come on, sometimes it won't.
The only way it'll work now, the screen will work, is if I plug in the HDMI into the TV, and then I have like this massive TV that I'm editing on, which is not fun because I'm like this, looking at the TV while the laptop's over here. And so either way, it's no joy.
It's another one of the obstacles because now we're not in country store. And we have backup, but the backup failed. We always have a backup computer with us, but that has issues now too. So he's holding on. He has to leave. He has to go someplace for a bit. So he'll take the computer with him and get it fixed. But every day when he opens it up, he says, "Please work, please work, please work." And I can do a lot of my work on the phone, so he can use mine if it gets really bad. It's not a big deal. But anyway, that's life.
All right.
You guys don't need to hear all the drama.
Cool.
Have a wonderful, wonderful day, evening,
morning.
Thank
you for watching.
Thank you for sticking around.
And 14 minutes.
Thank you for following our vlogs.
And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds.
And more to come. And we're just getting started with a lot of stuff going on here with the channel. We're just low, like with the sailing aspect of it and reaching those far off culture-rich lands. We are basically 1 year and 1 week after crossing the Atlantic Ocean, and we got our first sailing lessons 2 years ago in this month. So I think we've done really well, made a lot of ground, a lot's happened in that time. But at the end of the day, we have to we still are 2 people, so we can only get so much done. But we're going to keep working really hard for you guys and stick around. And yeah.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.